nation, destroys our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in my life. Looking for inspiration all the time. Looking for, looking for, looking for, looking for. Hey!
And good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you happen to be in this world today. Welcome to Spline Design Studios Saturday. Got a little bit late start again. Apologize for that, a little technical difficulties. Gotta love those. I had some on Wednesday, were okay yesterday, but yeah, I had a few again yesterday. So hopefully everybody's having a better, wonderful weekend. Just getting some things loaded here. So, like I said, I'm getting a little bit late. Try to get these things started on time. We got some echo. Also, hello. So we got some echo. Seriously, why is there echo? Let me check. Why is there echo? Okay, that's off. Really? Why is there echo? I don't sense any echo, but I appreciate the... I don't think I have that on. Let me check here. Alright, we'll get this thing figured out. Oh, not that. Desktop audio. Well, you had multiple windows open? Oh, okay, so it's not on my end. I was going to say, I'm checking everything. So that's on your end. Alright. I was going to say, because usually I can hear the echo, because sometimes I'll turn the monitor on through the headset. And a lot of times I'll catch that echo too. So, yeah. That's not, that it wouldn't have been on my end. I know I've done that before, so, alright. So... good deal. No, and it's not that. Like I said, I know I've done that before as well, so, oh my goodness. I got a lot of stuff I really want to cover. Reviewing and summarizing what we've gone over, what we finished last week, as far as trying to, and I got this open here, let me go ahead and bring this over. I got the track at least open just to kind of summarize here what we've gone over before. Trying not to waste too much time with flapping my gums too much, but what we did last week was started the process of creating a 3D modeled wall so that we can get fix the problem that we had with the geometric wall for this area of the pit road. In order to get more accurate pit stall coordinates and locations for that. So we're going to finish with that so we can get that into the track and get those applied properly. Get that. It should only be, I should be able to do it in one long segment. We'll have to take a look at the construct of it, I guess, as far as whether or not that's going to be the case. So we got Max open here. Somewhat of a new feature that I've applied here too, and I did get my show off there going there as far as the keys that I'm pressing, be it on the mouse and what have you, so I got that going. But I got a new little tool. I'm kind of curious to try this out. I've tried it off stream, but the way this works, let's see how this goes. So if I do this ought to work out kind of nice for being able to show off, especially in Sandbox. So if I right click out of that, because one of the things that I was looking into last week, because I was trying to show, let me go into this actually, how you get the coordinates for the pit stalls, and the fact that even for myself I couldn't see. You got to really look down there on the bottom right corner. So this little deal that I got here that lets me zoom in on this and kind of show that off. The only problem is it doesn't allow me to use the cursor, but at least it'll kind of bring it down there, I guess. So something else I could just kind of got a hand on. I don't know if it'll come in handy or not. Okay, so let's get out of that. There we go. Yeah, so that works, getting in and out of it at least anyway. I don't know how well, like I said, how well that'll work. It works well for things that are static. So, yeah, just noticing that if I do zoom in on it, it kind of makes those numbers go away. So I don't know if that's going to make... Yeah. Well, it may or may not, because as you see, like if I bring that back on, I guess it does. The only thing is like if I'm on the... yeah, I can't put the mouse... I don't know, maybe that doesn't... Let me check that. So if I put the mouse over here... Let me see how this works. I haven't really tried it in Sandbox. I've tried it... I was doing some stuff with... of all things, I was trying out Blender. Trying to figure some things out with Farming Simulator. As far as the way objects are created for Farming Simulator, as far as they use what's called a UDIM type of texture mapping to that. And one of the primary ways of being able to do that, not that you can't do it in 3ds Max, but it's more designed, you know, by the developers of Farming Simulator. They use Blender. So I've been off stream and just kind of tinkering with that, and this is what's kind of, someone clued me in on this little zooming tool. It works really nice as far as with static, you know, windows and stuff like that, as far as like, as long as it's not you know, it's not dynamic, I guess you could say. Numbers are dependent on the... Yes, the numbers are... See, I wanted to check here. Like, if I keep the mouse here... So if I want... This for the sake of demonstration. So if I keep the mouse here... If I was to do that... hotkey... Yeah, see, it doesn't allow me to move around. Because I got to move around with the mouse. But at least it'll give me... You know... A way, I guess, of showing how you get those numbers. As far as these numbers that are down here. Yeah. So the fact that, yeah, it's dependent on the mouse. So I have the mouse over, I guess, to get to that, what I want to show. So, okay. Good to know. See, I haven't tried it in Sandbox yet. Like I said, I've tried it like in Max. Or not Max, but Blender. Just to kind of see, but also in Max as well, I suppose. So like if I wanted to show what I'm actually, you know, if I wanted to show off the menu, I can do that like so. You know, and actually it does give me a pointer. Look at that crap. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so it does give you a kind of make it static, and then I can right click out of it. Oh yeah, that's gonna be nice. Okay, let me go back into Sandbox and try that out. Got new toys. New toys. Alright, so yeah. I don't think it will allow me. So if I go like this, I'm going to try this again. Now I got to see how this works. So if I go like this. Yeah, see, you can click on it to pin it down. And then you can move it again. Yeah. So it does let me lock it. That's kind of cool. I did not know that. That's cool. I like that. So at least it'll let me pinpoint as far as what I'm looking at there. The fact that it doesn't work like I thought it would as far as being able to, yeah, get the coordinate, I guess this way, and then look down here. See, it doesn't move. Once I pin it down, it doesn't really change those values there, but not totally useless, that's for sure. So I'll get back out of that. Nice little tool. Area capture. So yeah, I do that and have that in OBS Studio as well. And that's something I had considered too, as far as doing a screen region. That might be an option as well. that's something else that I considered too, as far as to do just a screen region of this area, so that I can, have that zoomed in. In fact, I might be able to do that on the fly here. Let me check that out. Stream Editing 101. Yeah, let me add this right to my scene. I don't want a window. Display capture, there we go. And I can do a region for it. I'm going to do a new one. This might go wonky, so don't. Okay. Yeah. Check this out really quick here. So if I go like this, and go into properties for that. Nope, that's not what I need. I'm just going to try something really quick here, because this is something, that's a good point that you made up there, James, I guess, about the screen region, because I do have that option as well, but I might have to play with that later, because I forget. I don't want to waste too much time on that. Alright. Yep, I'll work on that off stream. But that is another option, I guess, as well. For now, I'll use that little, let me remove that. There we go. Okay, that sounds good. Now we're back to normal. At least somewhat normal anyway. So, yeah, that's where we're at in this part of the build. And I'm going to get that loaded up. We saved that from last week as a scene. So we want to open that. Navigate to that folder. So Charlotte build 2018, and we should have named it pit wall model. There we go. And what I did, oh crap. Crap. I forgot I was working on farm sim stuff. Yep. Trying some things out, so I gotta rechange my adopt the unit scale. I don't know. I'm gonna reset this. Yeah. Because I don't think it's gonna take that. So I gotta adjust all my units of measure back. Uses a different unit measure when you're dealing with farm sim stuff, so I got some things to hopefully showcase, I guess, as far as farm sim editing. I've gotten into the map editing as well, to include some okay, so that's good and that's good. Just gotta check these two areas, so that's got to be in meters and that's got to be in meters. Okay, we're good. So I'll go ahead and open it again. I shouldn't get that dialogue again. But yeah, as far as just individual static items, as well as have been tinkering with some map editing. Farm Sim 19 is way more complex than 15 or 17, for that matter, as far as how it, like I said, I won't go into too much detail about that, but there's a lot more involved with it. It's huge. I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong, as far as what they got in there, as far as what you can do now, as far as designing your map. So yeah, I didn't get that dialogue this time, so this would be in meters. So what I did prior to the end of stream last week is I chunked out all of the areas of the track, because this is the DAE of the track, as far as in its current state, so that I could get a more accurate representation of where that pit wall, that 3D model pit wall, needs to go. So we did start laying that out, and I think I still have this laid out so that we can adjust the size. I did end up segmenting it out somewhat so that we could adjust it properly, as far as with the Swift loop, using that shortcut for that. So we do have it broke up, at least in that. Yeah, so we did put a couple of Swift loops in here. Zoom in on this. So yeah, I think we did already turn it into editable poly. One of the things that we came to include last week as well was the fact that when I put this in here, this wall, get over here, kinda hate when it slows up on me. Oh, okay, yeah, so this is the rest of the track mesh, so you can see the difference between, and I still have, I didn't chunk out this part. This is a part of the DAE as far as the track geometry that we imported in, and then we started this part of it here, so it's kind of overlaid on the new piece. So if I hide the track mesh, you can see there's our newly 3D modeled wall based on, that's without the track mesh in there. So one of the things I was going to point out, I guess, as far as the height of the wall, as far as the way the wall was oriented there, when I exported the DAE, I still had it in the other orientation. We had to change the thickness and the height of the wall. So yeah, when I did the DAE, I did not transfer that over. So we had to reassure ourselves that we were creating the newly 3D model wall in the proper size, as far as the height of it and the thickness and all that jazz. Because just to kind of give a little bit of summary on that, if I highlight this geometric wall, we changed the thickness, whatever, to a 0.45 as opposed to a 0.50, and then the height of the wall was a 0.5. So when we were creating our new 3D modeled wall to what we wanted here, we didn't have it this way in the model as far as the exported DAE. So it was not lining up, as far as to like match it up to what we had in the mesh. It wasn't lining up, so we had to make sure we're putting it the same thickness as what we have here now. Okay, so we're keeping the W section in there without it being textured, so we have that collidable barrier. That was something else we had concluded that we needed to keep that in there, so we have that collidable barrier. Otherwise, you'd just be able to run right through the 3D modeled wall. The fact that we don't have a way of being able to apply a collidable property to our 3D modeled wall, we have to maintain that W section. So just don't texture it. So yeah, we do have, this is our 3D model wall. We're gonna probably have to tweak this a little bit. Let me do this so I can get focused on something here, so it's not. Let me do this and then do a zoom. There, that should gonna get more focused on what we're working on here. So yeah, we got this the proper size as far as the thickness and the height. And I can bring back in the track mesh. Let's do that. Yep, got that hidden here. So yeah, you can kind of see what we've taken the liberty of adjusting to get it to line up somewhat. Now we don't want it to line up, it's not going to line up 100%, because that's why we're building this 3D modeled walls, because the way the geometric wall gets kind of stretched like a piece of taffy. So we're trying to get, at least, we kind of dissected, I don't know if it'll let me select. Let me focus on this part here. Zoom in on that. So yeah, if you notice, what we tried to do is dissect the 3D modeled wall into the geometric wall, because it gets narrower in this part. This is primarily where it starts to, so that's not very useful to us as far as the geometric wall. So again, that's why we've had to create this 3D modeled wall to help correct that. So what we did was just to try and dissect. Let me go into vert mode here. If I grab this vert and zoom in on that, just so that we can get an idea of what's going on here. So as you can see, here's the geometric wall, and it's kind of maybe somewhat hard to see. You can see the geometric wall, how it's real skinny right here. This is what we're trying to replace. So the fact that it's got all this bow and all that good stuff in there, we can get rid of a lot of that with this 3D modeled wall. Because we do have curved sections in here, as far as tracks, geometric track segments, we can fix a lot of this warpage, as well as this taffiness, I guess, on the geometric wall. So that's how I've got this newly 3D modeled wall, I guess, kind of set up that way, so that it takes advantage of, we have that, yeah, we have that as an option. I guess that's what I was trying to be able to fix a lot of that. So we should be to the point now, with all that done, to texture this thing. And I did put some, let me get to this end here. So there's our opening, there's the other end of the wall. I'm going to go ahead and hide the track mesh again, like so. Now, here's our 3D model wall. Now what I want to do is I want to texture this thing. So we did put a couple of textures in there I want for the top wall and the other facades, you know, as far as the left and right side as well as the ends. So let's go into that. We should have those in here still. Yep, I got the wall and the wall top here. Just gonna open these up here. These are the same textures that we're using on the geometric walls. So yeah. And yeah, I'm just trying to think here. Okay, so open up our material editor for starters, and then we want to change this. Most of the time this will open up as what the heck did I do that for? You want to set this to a standard if it isn't, so that you get this diffuse. Okay, and then go to bitmap, and we want to navigate to our folder where we got that texture. You might want to put it in some location that's a little bit more accessible, but I kind of keep them all. Alright, so we're in our Charlotte build, so here's our wall. Now, be it the fact that, you can choose any sphere that you want. Some of these are preset here. It doesn't really matter which sphere you choose, just as long as you choose a sphere, makes it sure it's in standard, and then the bitmap, so you get the diffuse, and so on. So that's so yeah, you could choose these as well. Any one of these spheres, it doesn't really matter. Then what you need to do is make sure you apply it to the model, and it'll loosely put the mapping onto it. It'll need to be corrected, of course, but what I'll probably end up doing in this case, as opposed to using a multi-sub object, because I'll be using two different textures for this model, be it the wall top and the wall. Wherever I'm going to apply the wall, I'll have that separate from the top. Okay, I know that it'll make a little bit more sense as I do this. I've found this to be a little bit easier than using a multi-sub object type of image application. You can do it that way. That's not wrong. It's just sometimes you may tend to forget, with building it for NASCAR 2003 season anyway, if you don't remove that multi-sub a lot of times, as far as the way the pass gets created through the pass exporter of 3D Max, you can sometimes get that texture to not map correctly. So it's a little bit easier. I've come to find it to be a little bit easier way to do it, to get your texture where you want it to go. If you're going to use more than one texture, is to break up your model that you're doing into those pieces that'll use those textures. Okay, and again, that'll make more sense as I do this. So right now we've got it to where the texture that is applied there is applying to the entire model as far as all the polys. Okay, what I want to do is isolate just the top so that it'll have its own texture, and the rest of the wall will have the other texture as far as the wall texture. So what I'm going to do, now that I got this in an editable poly, I'm going to select all these top polys for that, because that'll have the wall top texture, and just select these all like so. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is detach that as an object, so that'll segregate that. So now I'll have this as its own thing, and then I don't know if you can see that as far as the way they're selecting. You see now, the way it is now is I only have everything but the top as its own object. Oops. Okay, and then here, let me do it this way. This might show it a little bit easier. So if I hide this, that's just the top, so that'll have its own texture. Okay. So what I can do with this one is I can go ahead and just hide this one and bring back the other piece. Box 1. So we want to texture this with just the wall texture. Okay. So vertex, I'm just going to highlight this one, zoom in on that, just to kind of get it to focus a little bit more. So the top part of that wall, as far as the entire model goes, is not present here. So the only thing we're dealing with is just texturing the ends as well as the left and right side wall. And it's pretty good actually so far, but I'm going to check the mapping on it anyway. We're going to apply a unwrap modifier to it. We'll check the texturing of it. Alright, so let's do that. So if I go... Whoa!
7 months.
Holy crap, 7 months. Scared that bejesus out of me, dude. Yeah. That's interesting that it actually worked, because I know Twitch was doing some things with, I don't know if you're aware of that, James. Thanks for that, anyway, by the way. But to help explain, I guess, a little bit as far as what Twitch was doing, they have what's called now cumulative subscriptions, which means if there's at any point that, as far as subbing to a channel, if you have a gap in there, as far as like, you know, if you miss a month or two or whatever, it'll still count. So like that 7 months that you have, that's amazing, by the way. I can't believe it's been that long. But what happens is, like, say you go a month without, with missing a sub, what it'll do is it'll maintain, I guess, that 7 months and just keep going. So like if you come back, a year later, say for example, and hit your sub, you'll still have that 7 months. So that's kind of a nice tool, a nice little option that so you don't lose. There is also what's included as they call them sub streaks. So it's like if you're like so many months in a row, you get a fancy little badge that you can necessarily apply to your sub channel. So a lot of new things, I guess, with Twitch there. That's kind of cool. I like that. It gives a little bit more so what I'm looking for as far as incentive for potential subscribers to. So yeah, I wasn't sure if you were aware of that or not, but I thought I'd throw that out there. Also, for any of those that are lurking in the chat there, if you have a Twitch Prime, there being an Amazon Prime account, you can sub for free to the channel. You've got a subscription that you can use, for free. That's if you so choose. I'm not saying you have to; it's not an obligation, but some people don't know about that. As far as if you have that, as far as like if you're new to Twitch and not sure as far as all that kind of stuff works, that's a little bit of explanation on that as well. If you have an Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime account, you have a free sub to any channel. So, yeah, so now I'm going to go ahead and apply the unwrap modifier. Almost forgot what I was doing. Here we go. So now that's applied. You get these green funky lines. It kind of lets you know that you have that modifier on there. Okay. So now I'm going to open up the UV editor, and you will initially get all this. Let me widen this up here. You'll initially get all these funky. Wow, I don't even know why it's like that. We're going to have to change that, obviously. And that's part of the reason why you want to open that up there. It might look good on the model when you initially apply the model, but definitely want to look at the unwrap to it. So that's fair mention. So if I go into Polygon here, select this poly, and what I can do from this point, actually I need to get the texture in here, so let's go ahead and put the wall in here like so, and it should be, if I zoom in on this, you can see it's right here. So this is what we have. Now, here's the other thing. The way and this is somewhat similar to a lot of other mapping that you'll do, because of, look at how long this poly is. Okay, and the fact that the texture is only so wide, you know, as far as I think that's at a 512, yeah, pixels, I believe. Keeping it in that constraint of a power 2. So the fact that if we wanted to stretch that texture all the way across this, you may not necessarily want to do that. So if you're finding that you need what's considered to be a tile of the texture, that's going to change the mapping. As far as, in this case, it would be the MIP. So this would be a 2. It'll be a mapping of a 2 because we want this texture to repeat horizontally. So, and that's probably what we'll end up doing. See, right now what it's doing, you can kind of get an idea, and let me put this on just the faces that I got highlighted. What it's doing right now, and it's pretty close. This is why you see it showing it is like it is. It's got the proper orientation. It's got the dirt to the texture on the bottom of the poly, which is what we want. Let me actually change this to an F2. I think I can do that. Nope. Alright. Let me switch that back. Forgot I got that set on my scene there. You can do F2. I forgot I got that set to a different scene there. I forgot to change that. But you can do an F2. What that does is it'll remove, even though you got it highlighted still, it just removes that. It's still selected, but it allows you to see the poly without the highlight on it. It is still highlighted. If you look in here, you can see it's still highlighted. You can do the F2 to kind of show that, but you can see how the dirt part of the texture is on the bottom. So as far as the orientation of the texture is fine on this poly. The only difference is it's not all the way to the top. So what I'll do is at least adjust this so that's to the top of the texture and not just splitting it in half. And we'll have to do this to all the facades to it. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one, and I can do a shift and just drag this up so it stays straight like so. And that should be pretty much all we got to do. I can keep this, you know, and I didn't apply any type of normal or flattened map because the way this initially presented here was okay. Sometimes what will necessarily occur is your polys that you got selected in here, they won't be like that. So you'll have to play with the mapping as far as either flatten or normal map. In this case, it's a pretty simple object. It's not that complex. So it kind of presented itself, I guess, pretty pretty good. So the only thing I really had to adjust was that. So the only thing, if I look at the deal in here now, all it did was I just stretched it up the top of the edge of that poly up to here. So now this is a 1-to-1 as far as like the orientation. To get the dirt on the bottom, and I just move that up to the top. So let me see if I can show how that changes. So like if I zoom in on this, let me zoom in on this enough. Go back into here. I want to zoom in on this. You can kind of see the texture actually adjust on that poly as I do this. So like if I zoom in on this, see, and this is a little bit off too now that I look at it. So if I zoom in really close, you can see how much that's off. So I'll go ahead and adjust this again. If I grab it here and just do a shift, you can see how it's adjusting on the actual poly. See, I had it was like at half here. You can see how it's not scaled properly. So if I move it up, that's getting more of a 1-to-1, like so. Seeing the fact that it's still a little bit off. There, let me do it this way. This is the more precise, and if I go into vert mode, actually, this is probably, and the fact that this poly is so long, I can put it on grid snap. That's a nice little tool to use, but you can use this cursor. This is more precise. Going down this, yeah, this cursor right here, highlight, and this is invert mode. So what I can do here with grid snap on here, and what it'll do is it'll just snap. At least it should. And it's not. Don't know why it's not. Okay, making a fool out of me. Alright, let me just go ahead and Control Z on that. Yep, let's just do it that way. So, yeah, I'm not sure why that's not grid snapping. It should grid snap for you. As long as you got that that hard blue line, as far as the dimensions of the texture itself, it should grid snap for you if you've got the grid snap on, which is over the bottom right corner of the UVWs. And the only other thing I got on is the to filter out any polys, you know, that I don't have selected in the main view. So I think what I'm going to do here is zoom in on this, and I should be able to do the left shift and just drag this up like so. Yeah, I'm just getting that lined up to the. Okay. Sometimes it does require you, I guess, to zoom in quite a ways, as it's not hard to see, and it's much the same with Sandbox too, as far as like zooming in to make sure that you've got it lined up properly. This is pretty good right here. Might be a little bit wonky yet. See, the more you zoom in, you can really see how much it's off, but don't get too carried away with that, because sometimes you can adjust it too much, I guess. Let me go ahead and adjust this up here again. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm just zooming it in and out just to see how much it changes or not. It shouldn't change too much, but yeah, so that's a little bit better. See how it's moving again? See. As like I said, you can get a little too carried away, I guess, with adjusting it too much. I'm looking what's going on in here too to make sure it's not. That should be pretty good though. And the fact that it is this long, I'm going to keep it that way. Now, if I was to apply, just for sake of it, I can always go back to this. If I do a normal map, say for example, I'm not going to change any of it. Just do it like this. You can see how it changes. So if I do a normal map, it's actually applying it just to the confines of the size of the texture itself. I don't want it to do that, because you can see in here how it's stretching it horizontally there. I don't want that. So what I can do is I can do Control Z just to put it back. This to me, it looks more one-to-one as far as like that. So I don't really need to apply a normal map or a flatten map. If I flatten map it, it'd probably segregate the polys. Yeah, so that's definitely not efficient there either. So that's kind of an idea as far as like you have to try out the different mappings to see what looks good. The fact that our mapping when we initially came into this was pretty much good. We just had to line it up to the top edge of that texture. That's and again, because this is a relatively simple model, it's not very complex as far as its shape. That's a normal thing to have to deal with. So okay, so we got this poly selected, and let me go ahead and put that back on here. I know it's going to change my scene, but we'll just go like that. There we go. Alright, so if we let's try another poly here, still in the unwrap modifier. So now we'll do this segment of the wall. So we'll go into this, and it'll be right here. I may be able to get away with not having to move that, actually, but I'll probably go ahead and do that anyway. I'm considering the fact that whether or not I'm going to apply ambient occlusion to it, which I don't think I'll need to. I don't think it'll be necessary as far as apply any shading to it. So what I can do is I can, in this case, I can probably just move this, and I won't have to do a flatten or normal map. It's much the same as the other poly. All I need to do in this case, I'm just going to grab this, I'm gonna zoom in on it more. Actually, what's going on here? Why does it have this, whoa. That's got like a height change on that. That shouldn't. Or did I not change? That's a good question. Let me see here. I'm gonna have to check the heights of these verts because I don't remember if I didn't think I did, but maybe I did. Maybe I did. Let's see. I might not have changed this all the way through on the height. So, yeah, okay. Maybe I didn't. Let me check the verts on these. So what I can do is go back into here. It's going to bark at me a little bit here. That should be fine. Let me check the heights on these. Check the Z on this one. So I might have to change the height on this. I might have only did it on the one end. Yeah, in fact, let me use my little tool here as far as what I'm looking at. So I do Control 1. So what I'm looking at here are these values right here. So as far as the Z, this one's at a 6.535. That's what all these Z's should be on this model. Okay. So let me check all that. So if I go, this one's at a 6, same there. Let me check it down here where we're trying to edit that other poly. So I'll just slide it down here. Yeah, I can already tell by looking at this, I got it higher on the one end. So I didn't get this adjusted all the way. So I got some adjustments to make to this model first, height-wise. Yep, that's definitely not correct. So what we're going to have to do... Okay, so we'll copy the value, I guess, on this end. Yeah, it's not much off, but it's a little bit off. So we got to adjust it to this height. Yeah, I do remember that now. That was something I should have done. I should have thought of that before I started mapping. It's not a problem, but yeah, the fact that I saw that slew, you know, that little bit of a tangent on the line as far as trying to do this poly here, that gave me a clue as to like it's not all the same height. So I'm just going to paste this into this like so, and that should go up. It's actually going down. Okay. See, that was when I had it too high. So that'll be at the same height as the other end of the model at this point. So I'll just paste this all here. We want all these verts to be at the same height. I'm going to have to do this on the top piece. I'm going to have to bring that back in and reset all those verts as well. Alright, paste that in. Yeah, so we got to bring this all down. And I still have it copied to the clipboard, so all I have to do is the same value. I just got to bring this down so it all matches. Okay. And this was part of the adjustments, like I said, is that I made to the height of the wall and all that stuff. And I did not transfer that over. Okay. And I think the other thing I might have done, I don't remember. It's kind of going back to last week there. I might have just lined this 3D model wall to the geometric wall, which may not have been a good idea. So we definitely want to have this 3D model wall the same height. Okay, so we just got it right here. So get that. That's definitely not all the same height. Oh man, what the heck did I do there? That's not too many. What the? Alright, what's going on there? The heck? Hold on. What is going on there? So that can't be right. What's going on? Why is it going down so low? Yeah, see, I might have a bottom piece there. I might have to get out of that too, because I did use a box to create this thing. Not sure why it's doing that though. I got this to one vert. Interesting. So if I paste this over, what the? Why is it doing that? I don't get that. Huh. Alright, Control Z. There we go. Bring it back. Yeah, so I don't know why it's different on this end. Something's not. What is going on? So I was able to adjust all the other ones. The other verts. Something's not working out right here. Let me check this again. It's a long piece. Alright, so here's this one. We'll get down to the bottom of this. Alright, so if we zoom in on this. Huh. Am I not copying and pasting that all the way through? Let me see. Something's going on. Should be able to adjust that to the same height. Alright. Sheesh. Okay. We go like this. We'll zoom in on that. Paste. What the? I don't know why it's doing that. It's not like I'm adding a digit or anything to it. Hello, Control Z. Hello? Alright. I don't know why that's not working. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. I should be able to put all these heights the same level. Why is it doing that? Huh. Yeah, I've only got the one vert selected. Vertex 6 in this case. That's interesting. I don't know why it's doing that. That's interesting. Yeah, because it's not like this is broke up or anything. Go back to this vert. 6.535. That's what we wanted. So I don't know why it won't let that other one go. Huh. That is really peculiar. Just checking all these again. Just to make sure. Yeah, see, all the rest of them are fine. I don't know why it won't let me adjust this other end. Very interesting. Alright, so let's, Huh. Yeah, this one's at a 7. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of show that. So this one's at a 7.078. Okay. We need it at a 6.353, I think it was. So the fact that it won't let me adjust it down, I don't know why it's doing that. That's kind of crazy. Now it may have something to do with, now that I think of it, it might have something to do with the height values that I've got in the 3D model itself too, because it's based on the DAE. So I think what I did was I adjusted the height of the wall to that geometric, which I think was wrong. Trying to think here. Alright, let me bring the track mesh back. Let's do that. Okay. I may... Trying to figure this out. What did I do wrong here? Might have to keep that right where it is for now. Kind of see what's going on there. Yeah, because it obviously is not... the fact that it's squashing it all the way down to that, that's not what we want. So, that looks right there as far as the height. Okay. Let's get out of that. Hide that again. I suppose I'm going to have to leave that the way it is for now. Oops. I'm just trying to figure out why that is. I don't know if it shouldn't have anything to do with the actual yes, hold that. Zoom in on that. Yeah, so we got the rest of these all the same height. It's just that very other end there. That's kind of weird. I don't know why it's not applying it the same way. Okay. Let me try this once again. Alright, so if I do paste. Yeah, that's obviously not what we want. Interesting. So we'll just have to leave it that way for now. I guess if we have to adjust it, we'll do that. Let me check. Man, this is a long object, so I'm just gonna focus on vert here and just zoom in on it so I can focus on that one area of the model, like so. And let's bring back in. I want to see the height of this part. Yeah, let's bring that back. Unhide the track mesh here again. Yeah, see, maybe that's not what I want it to do. Because I'm keeping in mind that this model wall that I did here was not at the right height when I did the DAE. I was just looking for the location of the wall. So, yeah, you can really see the difference in the height of the wall that way. I had it at a... I don't remember what I had the height of the wall at. Oh, this is going to bug me now. What I might have to do, because one of the... Okay, going back to what we did last week, what I had done is I kept the texture on it as far as the W section so that you could get the... but actually you don't need to have the texture on as long as you've got the values for the yeah, for the W section itself, as far as the height that it needs to be and whatnot. That should translate into the DAE. The only thing you won't get is the texture coordinates, which we don't need anyway for that. So what I might try and do is do a new DAE and chunk that out so that we can line that up properly. Because I did not have that set correctly when I did this exported DAE here. This is why. I think that's why I'm having this much problem. So we'll keep this here. All I want to do is create a new DAE based on how we've got this correct now. Hello? Right here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I need a... I don't think I saved the other DAE. Let me check here. I don't think I did. I think I saved it and then just chunked it out and I imported it into Max. Okay. We're going to get this thing fixed because that's not going to work. Alright, all I need to do, let's bring over to 3D SimEd. And we're going to open up that PTF in there. So let's go ahead with that. So if I bring up 3D SimEd, okay, and oops, I'll bring that back up. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to import, and I'm going to navigate to our track that we have currently loaded in Sandbox. That has all the proper dimensions of the wall itself to include where it's oriented. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if I did have to put the texture on it or not. And I can do that if this doesn't work. But I think I came to the conclusion that you do not need to have the texture on it, so we'll see here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Tracks. Go to our Charlotte build. And we want to load pit exit wall. Yes. Let's open this up. Do a no. Okay, there's our current geometry of the track. Now, let me check on this. Yeah, so it is not present in there. So I do have to put a texture on it. So what I'm looking at here, see if I can recenter this. On this area here, so it doesn't have the actual wall there. So when I export that, it's not going to have that geometric wall there. So what I'll have to do is put a texture on it and then re-import it into 3D SimEd so I can get that information. Okay, so let's do that. Let's exit out of this. Kind of going backwards a little bit, but in order to get that corrected so we get it the proper, we want that 3D model wall to be properly the proper dimensions. Okay, so what I need to do is put a texture on these W sections here, just for the sake of the DAE, at least anyway. Okay, and it doesn't even really matter how they're applied to it. I just need it so that it basically applies that geometric wall into the DAE when I import it into 3D SimEd. So it doesn't matter if the texturing is wonked out or anything like that. So let's go ahead and apply just the wall. And it doesn't matter, like I said, as far as if it's... Okay, that was the right wall. Let's do the left wall. I'm going to kind of just do this really quick just to get a texture on it. Why is that black? The heck? Alright, I gotta check and see what's going on here. Oh, okay. I see why. Because I did the right wall, not the left wall yet. Okay. I was trying to figure out why it was dark on the top. There's like, oh, hello. Alright, so that was the left wall, right wall, and the top. Yeah. So just get this textured here. Now I'll just copy forward. There we go. Just to get a texture on it. It doesn't matter how the skewing or whatever is on it. I just want to get a texture on it so that it'll actually populate into, let's get a near wall on this as well. Okay. Alright. And then what we'll do is we'll copy that forward really quick. Okay. Like I said, this is just to get a texture on there so that it'll actually populate, showing the model as far as the DAE model from 3D SimEd. So I'm going to copy this forward all the way through the end there, like so. And then I'm going to save this as a PTF just for the sake of making the DAE. Alright, so let's do File, Save As, and I could just do this as, I don't know if I still have a B. Let me check that first. Checking my work. So let's go back here. I don't think I do, but I want to make sure. Okay. Nope, so I got a pit exit wall. Alright, what do I got going on here? Alright, now I gotta remember what the heck I did. So I got a pit wall width B. Oh man, I can't remember what I did here. Because this one's newer. I know I did something. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, see, this is going back to, I did this after the fact. That's what it is. So this one's actually what I want, because we've already confirmed that as far as what I did was after the fact, when I did the DAE. This one's already got that one. Okay, I know what I did now. Yeah, I did this after the fact. This was off stream as far as in stream last week. I adjusted that because I didn't have it adjusted in the DAE, but I never adjusted the DAE itself as far as, so I knew I had something to go by. Okay. Yeah, I believe that is what it did, because this is the height that we want it to be at, as far as the dimensions. So I know that's correct. 0.45 and then 0.5 high. I know that's correct. But just to humor myself, I'm going to put these two in here. I need to save this one actually just to make sure. Ooh, man. Yeah, this is one thing that can get kind of frustrating, because if you do something after the fact, as far as keeping it straight, that's why it kind of threw me off here as far as why I got this one loaded. And again, what I did is after the fact, I went and adjusted this original pit wall all the way through up to where we're putting the 3D modeled wall. So that's all included in this one. I just did that on this one here to make sure that it was flowing. So the fact that the dates are different on it, that's that threw me off. But I know what I did. It's just trying to explain. I'm just trying to think of what would be the better approach to take to this. Keeping everything straight. I know it's all good to go. It's just trying to make it so that it makes sense as far as what I'm trying to do here. So putting this texture on here on the wall section, the wall segment that is the proper dimension, that's what I need. That's what we need. Yeah, let me go ahead and save this one really quick. I can always throw it out if it is the same as, I'll do this as a B, just for the sake of that, and then just confirm that that's saved, like so. So that's pit exit wall B right here, and then what I'm going to do is bring in this one here. Because keeping in mind, all these PTFs in here are in order as far as the date. And like I said, I did that separately off stream as far as to get. So let me bring this back. I just want to kind of humor this a little bit. So if I load this one. Okay, let's do a new on this. Got that saved anyway. So if I open up this one, okay, and let's zoom in on that area. This one here, I still have the texture applied, and yeah, this one's not corrected. Okay, that was the pit wall width. Yeah, so this one is not. Hold on there. Yeah, this one's at the 0.45. The height is 5. Yeah, see this part of the wall here, the geometric wall, I did not adjust that yet. So again, that's why I'm using the other PTF, because that one is at the proper height. Yeah. See, there was two different. You know, just to summarize, there was two different. I did one section that was I adjusted the pit width when we were adjusting our stalls, like towards this end of pit road, and then I did a pit B to do it up to this point, and not this. So that's why this one here that I'm loading here that I did off stream is not set correctly, but this one that I've got loaded, you know, to do the DAE, it is set that way. So that's why it's kind of it seems backwards as far as the way I label them and how they're dated. So that was just to kind of humor myself a little bit. So this is where I did not adjust it yet, as far as this part of the geometric wall. So it's still legit, because all of these walls that will maintain are the proper dimension. It's just not this one. So that's why, yeah, it's all good. So now I'm going to do new. Nope, I want to save that. Now I'm going to, I don't need this one anymore. Pit wall width. I can always go ahead and, I didn't save it or anything like that. So yeah, the fact that this new one here that I created here, I can use that as a throwaway, just to get the proper dimension in the DAE. That's the main focus that we're trying to do now, because the DAE that I have in this here so far has got the wrong height on it. So that's what we're trying to correct. What I want to do is replace this, and I'll probably just go ahead and reset this all. Let's just do that. Nah, I didn't even worry about it. Let's just do it. Don't save. I'm not even going to worry about that. That can all be adjusted. We're going to have to start all that over again, so that's not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Okay, so we got this loaded. So we want to load this one up in 3D Sim that has that part of the wall as far as the DAE export is going to be concerned. That'll have the proper dimensions of that wall we're trying to 3D model. Okay, so now we'll go back into 3D Sim. Sandbox. Did I close it? Yeah, I guess I did. Okay, so we're going to load 3D Sim back up. Give me a second. Alright, here we go. So load this back up. Now we can load that PTF that we just created. And it's still legit one. We only need it for the purposes of creating a DAE for that. So it's relatively a throwaway. Okay, so 2229. So that would be remove pit wall, pit exit wall. Yep. So we want this one right here. Nope. Okay. So I'll give that a second. Populate in. So this is our geometry. So now it should have texture on that so that we can export that out. And then we can more accurately 3D model that. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do an export. Plug and export. Make sure it's on DAE. Doesn't matter the name of it. We're just using that to bring that into 3ds Max. So we'll save that DAE. Click OK on that. We'll just verify that it saved that right here. So we're good there. So we can close this. Exit out of that. Alright, so now this DAE, let's leave that right here. We're going to load that into 3ds Max. Okay. Kind of backtracking a little bit, like I said, but not too terrible. Actually, what I'm going to do, open up that scene again that we've already got saved, and we'll just re-import. That should all be lined up. Yep, so let's just go here. Alright, we'll just open up this one right here. Alright, and what we're going to replace is this track mesh model. So we're just going to delete this one. Okay. And we're going to import the new model. Okay, so we'll just navigate to that. We just put that on the desktop, which is this right here. And I'll have to chunk out a lot of stuff, but that's okay. Yep, just click OK on all those warnings. So here's our new. Yep, this is our updated geometry, so that should line up more precisely. So here's our, you can see our 3D model wall in here. in comparison to, see, I can already see that's, so I'm thinking what I might have done, again, this kind of reconfirms what I did was I tried to align the new 3D model wall to the geometric, which I should be able to do, actually, because that's a one-to-one representation. The only thing that we're trying to fix is the taffy, you know, as far as getting the geometric wall getting skinny towards this end. The height of it should be fine. Okay. So, yeah. So the fact that I'm seeing the same thing as we did previously, as far as this is too low on our 3D model wall. Okay, so this geometric wall, that's at a 0.5 meters. Okay, that's what we want that to be. So I'm thinking what's going on here is because of our elevations that we have in there, that's what's, yeah, so I don't need to, I need to follow this contour of the wall that we have here. Okay, so there is probably some anomalies, for lack of a better way to put it, there is some elevation in here, and this is what's causing that to not line up. Like if I try to put all those verts at the same height, okay, I believe that's what's going on now. I can almost 100% agree that's what's going on here, because this is still adjusted down when I try to put that all at the same height, but the fact you can see the actual geometric wall behind it, this is the height that we want. So I'm going to have to adjust the verts on that model to match that of the geometric wall. So let's go into vertex and see if I can focus on that. Zoom. So basically what it boils down to is we are not able to put all these top verts, I guess, at the same Z. Okay. Again, because this wall, the geometric wall, that is 0.50 all the way through. Okay, we got to keep the top of this 3D model wall the same height as our geometric wall. That should hold true all the way through to this. Alright, so if I bring these back up here, and this might be a little bit tougher because, actually no, I didn't reopen that scene, so I should be able to, yeah, I should be able to apply these two verts. Yeah, two vertices selected. So I should be able to bring this up like so. Yep. And all I'm doing is I'm just lining it up to the wall, the geometric wall height. It's definitely going to be different. And I think this is what we did last week too, as far as just to line it up that way. The only thing, like again, we were trying to create, I know I sound like a broken record, is that skinniness, you know, as far as the taffy effect that it was applying to the geometric wall on that end, as far as the pit exit. Okay. So, I'm going to check this all the way through again. Alright. Zoom in on this. Yep, so this end should be fine. Yep, that should be fine. Should not need to adjust anything there. Alright, let's check out these swift loops that we did here. That actually doesn't look too bad as far as the height of this gray that's showing here. That's actually a geometric wall, but if I select this like this, you can kind of get an idea. See how that's bleeding through. So yeah, we want to follow the contour of the geometric wall as much as possible. And I could probably get a rough idea. I'm willing to bet that all these Z's on these verts here for the 3D model wall are not going to be the same. because of the trajectory of the pit wall itself. Because there's elevation in it, it's not going to be the same. Because it's probably, yeah, I can already tell through the track mesh itself that there's a little bit of a hump right here. So that's going to change the height of that because the wall is actually going upwards. Because keeping in mind that our 3D modeled wall is based on one point, which is more than likely probably down than this end. So that bottom, as far as how it's figuring the Z for this top vert, for example, it's based on that point. So, you know, a lot of that probably doesn't make sense. It makes sense to me. You know, because there's elevation in this, the heights of all these verts are not going to be the same. This is the bottom line. So let's check on this very end here. Yeah, I can already see if I zoom in on this. Yep, if I zoom in on this, you can see, here's the geometric wall. You can see that poking through right here. So if I adjust these up and down, you can see how that's bleeding through. So that's the height we want that to be at, as far as our 3D model wall. That's matching the, okay, so we'll adjust it down here. You can see this is way too low yet. And I don't know if I might have to put a swift loop in that. That's a heck of a span. Yep, so this is good here. Let me zoom in on that. See how that's bleeding through there. Might have to put another swift loop into this 3D model. Let's see here. Yeah, because this is off right here. Definitely off. It's good here though. So I might put another swift loop, like right in here, to get that adjusted properly. The height wise anyway. Okay. Here, let me spin this just a little bit. Ooh, man, that's a big span. Yeah, we should be able to put a swift loop right about in this area. Okay, let's do Control S. And wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta probably go into Poly. Which one is it? Gotta make sure I'm on my model. Yes. Alright, should be able to do, or is it Shift S? Can't remember if it was Control S or Shift S. Shift S. My bad. I don't remember what my little macro is. So Shift S, whatever, do the swift loop. And just line that up like so. Don't really need to use snaps or anything. Should be good. As long as it's got that, you can see the ring there. So I'll just split that. Like so. And then to get out of that, just right click. So it's got that cut into the 3D model wall now. So now I should be able to go to verts. Select those two verts and then I can adjust those and zoom in on it. I should be able to adjust these accordingly. Like so. Yep. Trying to follow that contour of that wall as much as possible. Now, by doing all this, now I think of this, if I was to adjust any of the heights geometrically as far as in sandbox there, that's going to change the attitude of this geometric wall. So that's something to keep in mind. But the fact that we'll have all the raw files, I guess, to be able to adjust that if that ever becomes a thing. I don't think we'll need to, but just keeping in mind, if you make any geometric, as far as height changes in the track and sandbox, and in this area, at this point, if you were to make this model, that's going to change the attitude of this this model. So I have to keep that in mind. So I think we're pretty good on the overall design of this now. It matches the geometric wall. Okay, let me highlight this here so I can zoom. There we go. So let's, for the sake of argument, let's kind of humor ourselves here. So we can see that bleeding through. This is the green is our 3D modeled wall. Okay. So we're just getting it lined up to our geometric wall. And I can get really super OCD, I guess, about how much it's a lot of this will be adjusted. Yeah, see, it's really close as far as, yeah, see how it's bleeding through like so. I think that'll be fine though. That should do just fine. You know, and if I really wanted to get super duper particular, I guess, about this, I could, in theory, select this vert, and I could put vert snaps on. Let me try that. We'll do vert snaps. So what that'll do is it'll snap to the geometric vert. As far as for the geometric wall, it's just snapping to that. That's by just putting vert snaps on. So maybe I might do it that way. See how it just kind of snaps to the verts of the actual geometric wall. So I might just go ahead and do it that way. I could do the same thing with the heights here too, instead of adjusting them all manually like I've been doing. It's not 100% wrong, but you can already see, like if I get this vert, put the vert snaps back on here. That should, actually that won't snap to that because there's no vert. Because we did a swift loop on here to get this to match up. There's no vert. There's an edge there, but not a, so if I potentially put edge snaps on, I can leave the verts ones on. It might snap to that. Yeah. So it'll snap to the edge at least anyway. The only other thing that might do, which will cause more, it won't really keep this straight. So you can, so it kind of goes on an angle here. And you can straighten those up. That's not a big deal. But I think what I'll do, just for the sake of it, yeah, why not? Let's just go ahead and do it that way. We'll keep this stuff legit. So we'll get it snapped to the edge. And then what you can do from here to get your vert straightened up here, because it's crooked now. And again, because there's no vert on the geometric wall, I guess for that to line up to, it's just snap to the edge of the geometric wall. Because we put a swift loop into our 3D model wall. So what you can do here to get this straightened back up again is look at, in this case, it should be the Y. And I can just check this one here. So 147. Nope, that'd be on the X. 79887. Yep. So you can choose at this point which one you want it to line up. So we can go by the bottom. So I can copy this bottom on the X and paste it to this X. And that'll straighten it out. Okay. And do the same on the back side here. Okay. So if we go to the bottom X here, that should be the same. Yep. Copy. Paste it up at the top vert. Enter. There. Now it's nice and straight again. Now I can do the same thing on the back side as far as to get that to snap. I'm not going to get real particular with it. It's pretty doggone close. But that gives you an idea of how you can get really more precise, I guess, as far as getting it lined up to the geometric wall. Let's check it all the way down here. See, it's a little bit low. Let's adjust these verts. And we can snap this to the edge. Like so. Let's get this one as well. Yeah, so that'll get it a lot closer that way. So we'll have to do the same thing with what we did in that other part. Yep, see how it's crooked? So I get that straightened up again. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll... Why is that so far down? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, just noticing that vert seems to be... Zoom in on that. Why is that below? Oh, wait a minute here. Yeah, see, this is something... Okay, this makes a little bit more sense now. So the fact that I was lining it up that way, I gotta move... Holy smokes. Okay, so you can really tell again that there is some elevation difference in here. These verts here, so in this part here, this part of the elevation's got like a crown here. Because the actual vert in this area is lower on this part here, so that suggests whatever there's like a crown in this part of the elevation, or the x-sections and what have you. So what I need to do actually is, let me straighten this up first. Yeah, let's do that. Let's straighten it up first. So we'll copy this. I see what's going on now. That makes a little bit more sense actually. Yeah. Paste this over to here. There we go. That one, let's get the back side. Yeah, I get this now, but I'm just trying to get this straightened up first before I go. So basically, because this vert is below the surface of the... I didn't need to adjust the top. So that's actually taller than it is, and that's why this is not the same height all the way across. Because we're only considering the top here. We got to move this, the whole, as far as where we swift loop to here, we got to move it up as well, so we can get that bottom vert snapped to the surface of the track surface itself, as far as the track geometry. It'll make sense here in a minute. So I'm going to copy this and paste this here. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now, actually. So what I'll have to do at this point is... how do I want to do this, though? We almost need to isolate just the... yeah, in order to do this properly. Because... if I try to snap... Let's try this anyway, just to see. We'll try it. It might actually work. So if I go... whoops, turn that off for a second. So if I get this one, if I turn my edge snaps on... trying to see how that's going to snap. Yeah, it's not snapping the way I... It's snapping to the wall, but it's not snapping to the actual track surface. And that's what I wanted to test. So what I'll probably have to do is I need to isolate just the geometric wall. Right, off the... yeah, and get it away from the track surface. Because the only thing it's snapping to right now is just the wall and not the surface. So, let's... and this is kind of what we didn't do. We didn't go through a lot of this stuff last week, so this is actually new material. Because the other thing we need to do too is get a lot of this track geometry out of here. We don't need all this. We only need this area. So let's go ahead and get some of that chunked out while we're at it. Select this. And yeah, it doesn't really matter for now. I'll probably end up converting it over to a poly. Oops. I want to keep some of the... What are you doing? I got it on poly, you dummy. Trying to drag select these. So yeah, I'm going to chunk out some of this. We don't need all this information. What the heck are you doing? Goofy thing. Let's zoom out some more. Get some of this chunked out. We don't need this. Yeah, This will kind of keep the file size a little bit smaller too, as far as focus more on the area that we're trying to work on here, which is on pit road. We don't need all this. Okay. Oh my god, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Goofy thing anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep majority of the pit road. In fact, that I've shown this before too. You can do different select tools. Like I can do the spray paint or the lasso. So like I can go like this. You kind of get more definitive on what you're selecting, as opposed to just the box select. Yeah. I want to keep a majority of the pit road. So I'm just going to chunk all this out. Don't need this. This is probably a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's kind of weird not having any of that background music, and it's kind of a pity in a way that, yeah, the one stream that I did there where I had the music going in the background, it did kind of, yeah, so. Some copyright stuff on there. Okay, that's looking pretty good there. Now, what I need to do is segregate the geometric wall. So let me hide our 3D model wall, which is this deal. I'm gonna hide that. Okay, so now we just got that geometric. I'm gonna isolate, or try to, that geometric wall. So here we go. Yeah, it's trying to load a lot of information, so it tends to get real slow. That's normal. See, when you highlight like this right here and zoom in on it, then it'll kind of focus on that. So this is somewhat what we started last time, as far as to isolate that, because of all these little slivers. You can see all the polys that exist in here. Yeah. As far as trying to segregate all that out, that was somewhat the problem that we ran into. But this is going to be the proper dimension that we need of the wall, geometrically at least anyway. So, let me try something here. If I go into the paint select, I don't know if that'll work better for these polys. Oh yeah, that's nice. In fact, that's not the way I want it. I want this. Yeah, shoot. It's not going to work this way, unfortunately. Yeah, see, it's going to select all that. See, what I'm trying to do is isolate the geometric wall from what I could do, I guess. Let's just do it this way. It's not impossible. So let's highlight this, like so. Yep. So we can get all this selected, and we can make that a separate object so we can better get at the geometric wall. Yeah, that'll work. So this is using the paint select, and all these polys selected like so. Okay. So as long as you're only selecting those surface polys there and not getting the wall, we should be alright. It's kind of hard to see on that end. This is a lot of polys in here. Okay. I think we're good there, so we should be able to detach that as an object. Oh, I know what I didn't do. But let me see if this still works though. So if I detach this as an object. Okay, it did work. Cool. Awesome. Alright, so now I've got that. I'm going to hide this one. And again, what that does is it isolates more of that geometric wall. That's what we want. So we can better line up our 3D model wall to it, as far as the height and whatnot. Okay, so... Yep, so now I can paint... Hello? Oh, I gotta go into polys, that's why. Paint. Now I can highlight all this, create this as a separate object. Now there's a lot of polys. Oops, I forgot to put the control select on there. Yep, something like that. Move this down. Hold control. There. Yeah, this would work a lot better. There. So now we got that wall selected. Now we can detach that as an object. And you can label it. I'm not going to worry about it too much. But yeah, now we got that as a separate object. So now what we should be able to do, I'm going to hide the rest of this track mesh. Bring in our 3D model wall that we're trying to create. So unhide that. That should be box 1. Yep. So now we can snap our verts and whatever to that geometric wall. As far as the heights and whatever, at least anyway. Okay, so let's make sure we got our box selected here. And go to vert. No, verts. There we go. And I still got this on paint. Let me sweat this back to box select here. There we go. Zoom in on that. Now what we can do is we can better align our verts to the verts on the geometric wall itself. Okay, so let's start with this one here. And we'll do these a vert at a time. So if you put this on edge snaps, yep, so that should snap there. I think that's doing it right. Can't tell. Yep, I think it is. Looks like it is. Alright, so let's get this one here. Yep, so I'm seeing it turn. May not be perfect, but oh man, why is it doing that? Hold on. Yeah, because there's no vert there, it's going just by the edge of the geometric wall, as far as our 3D model wall. So yeah, so that should be good right there. And that should be good right there. So you can kind of see how it's semi-bleeding through on the geometric wall. It's kind of what we want. So I gotta get focused on this again. Zoom. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of what we want. Now the only other thing we got to do is straighten up these verts here so it's not crooked. So we'll go by the bottom vert here, which should be the X. So we'll copy that, paste that to here. And all I'm doing there is just aligning it vertically is all. So that should be the same. So 86.97, 86.97. And we'll make this one the same. It's not that far off, actually. Nope. not that far off at all. So that should be nice and straight now. Alright, next section here. So if we go down here. Okay. The main thing we needed to look at is the that bottom. Yeah, see, this is where it starts to get skinny, so we don't want to mess with the width of it too much. Just the height. Alright, so let's take a look at the bottom of this one. And select this one. We'll put the edge snaps on here. So that's not working like I thought it would. No, it's really not working like I thought it would. So what I might have to do, as far as the edge snaps anyways, let's turn off the vert snap just for the sake of it. What I was hoping it would do is just snap it better to that edge. So what I'm going to probably have to do is just adjust that manually. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try it that way. So I'm going to take the edge snaps off. Select these two, and if I adjust it this way, so you can see the edge of the wall. That way. I might just have to do it this way. See how that's poking through? That's what we need to adjust. Because the actual height of the wall is fine. The top of it, anyway. It was that part that was off, so we still probably have to adjust. Let's check it down here just for the sake of it. I don't know if that snapped correctly. Okay, so if we go here. Yeah, that one's actually pretty good. Alright. Check this one. Zoom in on that. Yeah, this one's a little bit off, not too much. This one's actually pretty good. It's maybe a little bit low. Yeah, and I guess what I could have done, now that I think of it again, let me see something here. So if I go, we're figuring some stuff out. I'm gonna turn off the snaps. Sometimes it helps to keep the snaps off while you're selecting the vert. Otherwise you can tend to select stuff that you don't want. Yeah, see, that one's not really working like I would like it to. Theoretically, whoops. Oh my goodness. Yeah, theoretically what you should be able to do is select the vert and then snap that vert to the that geometric wall edge. But it's not really working like I was hoping it would, that's for sure. Okay. Not a huge problem though. So let's yeah, this is the one I was checking out here. Zoom in on that. Okay, so, and again, I don't want to go by, you can see the geometric edge right here, it's kind of poking through. That's that where it starts to get skinny. So we don't want to really mess with that anyway. The fact that I'll probably have to take these faces off the bottom anyway. I don't need those, so let me delete those out. Yeah, these polys here we don't need. So that might kind of help our effort as well. Just thought of that. So yeah, these, that's our inside poly. Okay, yeah, so these polys here, yeah, we definitely don't need these. So we'll delete those out. That's on the bottom. You're not going to see those. Those are going to be face to the ground. Okay, so that should be Yep, that outside face there, that's fine. So we're going to take all these bottom faces off this 3D model wall. Let's make sure we got all those out. This is a long section of wall, that's for sure. Alright, zoom in on that. Yep, so we got some on this end too. Alright, so let's focus on this. Delete that. Delete that. Yeah, that's just getting those bottom faces off of there. Okay. I don't think there's really much more we can adjust. You can really see from this angle how much of a wonkiness there is in that wall, as far as how it kind of crowns up right here. And that's what we're trying to get adjusted. We're trying to get the 3D model wall to, you know, contour the same as the geometric track itself. So the main area that it tends to do that, I might have to put another swift loop in here, is like right in through here, because this is our pit exit end. Okay, and we did put another swift loop towards the end there to get that adjusted, but almost thinking we need to put wow, holy smokes, I can really see that difference here. Yep, looks like we need to put another swift loop in here. I don't know if it's hard to see, but you can see right here. See if I can, I don't know if I got a pointer. This right here, that's the geometric wall. That's the contour of it as far as the side profile. So, yeah, and this is our 3D model wall, which is the green. So if I pan this across, you can see how that geometric wall really changes. So on this end here, this is the going to the garage area. So that's that end. This end would be towards pit exit. So you can really see how that geometric wall contours. Let me put this more on a side-on view. You can kind of get a better idea. This is full side-on view. You can see that geometric wall. And that's at the right height. That's the height we need. So there's a huge... Yeah, so I gotta straighten that up. A huge crown in that part of the pit road. I don't know if that's gonna cause a problem or not. Now that I think of it. But I'm gonna have to put like a swift loop or a couple swift loops in here to get this corrected. Yeah. Okay, so let's do a Shift S. Okay, and we're gonna have to cut through here. Right click to get out of that. Okay, and then we'll zoom in on this. And I'm full side on view. So let me yeah. Huge difference. So that's part of our perspective. You can really see that difference now as far as the height. This is the geometric wall, and that's the green is our 3D model wall. So that's how much we got to adjust all these verts to get that to follow the contour of that. Okay. So we might have to put maybe another swift loop in there. Yeah. It's not too bad there. Yeah, I didn't realize there was that much of a crown in that wall there, but it definitely is. Let me see if I can move these over. I'm moving all those ferts that I just swift looped all together. They're all selected. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, seeing on this end, wow, I didn't really think it was that wonky. Apparently it is, though. See, I don't want to adjust the thickness of our 3D model walls. That's the thickness that we need it to be. It's just that it obviously has a crook in the wall. Wow, okay. Yeah, there's a lot more going on with this geometric wall than I thought. I was thinking it was a lot more straighter than that, but holy crap, that's got a huge crook in it. Let me see. Can we even see that in, open that up here. Yeah, I want this one here. Yeah, that was after the fact. Yeah, so I want this one. Alright, I want to take a look. I did not realize. Crap. Alright, that's not the one I want. Let's try the other one that we saved. That's got a texture on that part of the wall. Let's open this one up. And okay. We're gonna get these things figured out. Okay, so that would be here. And what I'm interested in seeing, does it really have that much of a crook in this thing? It sure does, look at that. So that might be, well, that's where it gets skinny. Okay. Buddy. Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit tougher than I thought to get this to line up. Because where it gets skinny, I think that's where I'm seeing this crook. Right here. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah, this is where it starts to get skinny. That's why we're seeing like what would appear to be a crook, but it's not really a crook. You know, as far as it gets crooked, it's just where it starts to get skinny. So, question is, how do I get this? Yeah, we definitely don't want that. Wow, this is such a long strip of. It doesn't seem like it's that long, but it's pretty long. Definitely has a lot more going on to it than I thought it did. Oh, shoot. See, what I don't want to do, and I guess this is what I'm pondering, I don't want to snap our 3D modeled wall entirely to the geometric wall, because we're trying to straighten it out because of the way it's, because it's got that taffy effect, I guess, on the pit exit end. So I somehow need to figure out a way to get the trajectory of the wall correct, as well as to keep the consistent thickness of the 3D model wall, and not go 100% by the geometric wall, because it's not what we want, you know, as far as visually. So yeah, there's a huge crook I got in that. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is, I don't know if I can go back. Control Z. Yeah, I guess I can. Yeah, I'm going to put this back this way. Okay, that was the height. That, I think, was actually okay. Yeah, so I can do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to kind of correct some of this crookedness because of how the geometric wall gets created, I'm going to do it this way. The height I'm going to change, for sure, as far as just that, to match the, and then what I'll do is I'll check all the vertex coordinates to make sure that from here to here, as far as for the bottom of the wall, the top of the wall is the same height. Because that we definitely still want to maintain. Okay. So let's check. So we're going to check the Z. Okay, so actually that one's going to be higher, so I need from here to here that difference. So let me get that. So this one. Alright. Bring the calculator out. 7.014 and subtract 6.485. 6.485. Alright. So that difference is 0.529, so it's a little over half a meter. Okay. So now we'll check this end here. Let's check this difference. So this one's yeah, this one's definitely different. But that's to be expected because I got this raised up. What I want to do is check the difference between these two. 7033. So copy that. Plug that into our 7033. Plug that in, and we'll subtract this one. Yeah, so that's a huge difference. 0.597. So it's a difference of 0.529 here, and a difference of 597 here, so it gets wider on this end. That's not good. Son of a biscuit, anyway. Okay, let's check this one here. Nope, that should only be a 0.5. That should be a half a meter. That's what we've got to it set. Yeah, so that's not optimal. So let's check this vert. It's definitely thicker on this end, it seems. It would appear. So copy this, put this in our calculator. We want things to be correct. 7.82 subtract. See how this one's going. Copy that, paste that in the calculator. Equals. Yeah, this is closer to what we need it to be. Okay. That's at a 0.504. So this end is fine as far as the height of our 3D model wall. As we get this way, it gets thicker and then it gets skinnier again, so that's not good. Don't want that. So in order to follow the contour of the track as well as to maintain, how am I going to do this? Alright, let's zoom in on this. This is definitely way too thick here and all that. Can't even see the... Where's the... Oh, there's the... Is that the geometric wall right there? Holy smokes. Okay. That's way the heck up there. Alright, so let's turn on... Just for the sake of it. Turn on our edge snaps. Almost looks like it's snapping to that edge, I think. Kinda hard to tell. Ah, come on now. Hate when it gets all wonky like that. Okay, go back. Z, there we go. So what I'm trying to... No, that didn't snap right. Dadgummit. Yeah, so it's definitely not going to snap correctly that way. Let's bring that back up. What? Yeah, because again, what I'm trying to do is get it to snap to the bottom of the geometric wall, and that's not working too well. That's definitely not working as like I was hoping it would. Let's try. Let's hide this geometric wall. Turn snaps off here for a second. Hide that. Let's bring back the fudge, I forgot which one it is. Yeah, so there's our track surface. What I might do is try to go by that instead. Yeah, this is the track surface that I segmented out, so you can see how much our 3D model wall is below the track surface. That's probably a better representation rather than trying to go by the actual wall. Yeah, so let's try that. So if I select this, yeah, what I might try and do at this point, just trying to move. I don't know if I can do a edge snap, but what the heck? Okay. Alright, why is it not, am I zoomed in too far? Okay, just zoomed in too far. Alright, there we go. So I don't think, and I'm going to try this, so I got that vert, you can see how much that's below the track surface. Here's the track surface, that's the top of it. So that's how much below on our 3D model wall is from the track surface. Okay. So that's based on all the height data and what have you. So what we need to do, I'm going to turn on the edge snaps. Oh, maybe that will snap to it. Okay, did I do that right? Let me hide this. And that's object 3, okay. So did that do that right? No. See, that's not snapping right. What it's doing is it's... Yeah, that's not snapping correctly. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Okay. Go back. There we go. So, yeah, what it's doing is it's snapping over here. So it's not snapping the way I need it to. So... Gosh darn it, anyway. Freaking zoom. It's such a huge section. It's ridiculous. Alright, so let's yeah, but you can clearly see how far that 3D model wall is below this track surface. This is the track surface right here. So if I move this up like so, that's where the bottom of the wall now is mating with the track surface. So that's how much that's off. Okay. So what I might have to do is just do that manually. As far as these different verts to get that to mate up there, because it's not snapping the way I need it to. But you can kind of see now how it's... Here's the edge of the 3D model wall. How it's more mated to the track surface. just by moving it up on the Z on that. So let's try and move this one. Okay, we'll paste this to here to get that the same as this one here. Okay. Yeah, so now we got that both the same there. So that might be the best option that we'll have there, as far as getting that mated to the actual track surface and still being able to maintain the thickness of the wall and what have you. So that's probably what the approach we'll have to take to it, as far as just to move the verts independently. So yeah. Alright, I'm going to take a short little break here, and I'll be right back, so don't go nowhere. Alright, we're back there, folks. Sorry for that, for this little bit of a delay there. Okay. Yeah, so where we're at with this is we're going to need to adjust these, the verts for the bottom verts, at least anyway, to get that lined up to that. So that should change our difference here now. That's something else I want to check here, just to verify, because it was really thick in this part as far as their difference between the two verts. So yeah, let me check that again. Alright, so if we bring up our calculator, so we got, let's get our top vert here, we'll copy that and check the difference now. Let's clear this out, paste this in, and we'll do a minus this bottom vert. Copy that, paste that in, and equals, yeah, that's a lot closer. It's not 100%, but it's closer, a lot closer to the half a meter that we should be. And I could probably really tinker with that a little bit more, I guess, to get it more precise. But that's definitely the height of that is where we need it to be, as far as the half a meter. Okay, so yeah, so this end was fine, so we're gonna have to do that manually all the way through this. We'll zoom in on this part. Yeah, see, this one's kind of slightly below track surface as well. Yep, not much, but a little bit. Okay. So yeah, let's do that. We'll bring this one up manually like so. Alright, and then we'll just copy this vert location to the one on the back side of the wall. over here. There we go. Just making sure I only got one vert selected. Okay. I'm going to paste that in here. So now I'll put that the same height as the other. Now, check our differences between these two. So plug this in. Okay, so paste that in there, do a minus bottom vert. I can already tell this should be just by the value there. That's still a little bit much there, so I could probably bring the top down. The bottom's probably correct, but I could probably bring this down. Yeah, so the fact that I'm just gonna adjust this manually. Oh, wait a minute. I took the wall out, that's right. I forgot about that. Let's bring that back in there just for a minute here. So it's object 4. Yep, so now I got the wall to go by. Yep, so just gonna bring that down a little bit like so. And then I'll copy that Z to this one. There, those will both be the same height. Alright. So now object 4. I'll hide that again. So now I got the height situated. Now we can check that again just to kind of see here. So this is at, oops, this one's at 7.001. Yeah, so there we go. So that's our half a meter. So still going somewhat by the geometric wall as far as the height to get that correct. So now we got the correct height. Pretty damn close on our 3D model wall. As well as being, yeah, so we've got to adjust this further down, all the way down here, so we can see a lot of our 3D model wall is still below the track surface. So our thickness is right, our height is correct, so we're all good there. Excuse me, need a drink. Yep, so a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, as far as to get this aligned to the, not only to the geometric wall, but as far as the surface, because there is a little bit of elevation in there. But to definitely make sure that we're keeping the height of our wall the same. We want that consistent all the way through and follow that contour. We don't want it to be higher in different spots by only adjusting just the one, the height of the wall, I guess you could say, as far as these top Z's. So we're going to go to, I might have to put another Swift loop in here, because as I was showing, you can see a little bit part of this is still sunk into the track surface here. That might not be too much of a big deal right there, but you can see that's got a little bit of a crown right here. You can see how that it's not 100% straight. So as long as our distances at this point, and we'll check these, are the half a meter, we should be good. And so we'll go ahead and check those. So if we select this copy vert here, put this into our calculator, clear this out, paste that in, do minus the bottom vert. As long as we're at 0.5, we should be good. Okay, paste that in, equals 479, so that's a little bit off. Alright, so let's check this. So what I'll do is I'll bring our geometric wall back in. which is object 4. Got that split up separate. So it looks like, yeah, we got to bring the top verts up just a tad. I'll adjust this 1. Like so. And then I'll copy that Z to this one. So that's the same. Come on. Okay, so we got that. And then, yeah, now what I'll do is I'll hide the object 4. So do object 4. Okay, so the object 4, we'll hide that. Okay. Now, if we select object 3, and we can check these. Why is it not? Oh, that's our box. I forgot. So our box is our model wall. So we don't want. Oh, for crying out loud! Just give me the box. Why is it still selecting that? Hold on a second here. Cores were driving me nuts. Okay, so I don't know why it's still. Why is it still selecting the object? Let me give me this, but it's still got the object selected. Why is it doing that? Gosh darn it. Maybe it's just, I don't know why it's doing that. That's kind of crazy. I want just the box. Okay. Get this top vert. Plug these back in here again just to kind of double check from what we had on our geometric wall. I guess it's just kind of flickering there, and it's not selected. It looks like it's selected, but it's not. This is kind of being weird. Okay, yeah, so we get our calculator. We want to copy this C, and we'll see how close we are now. Should be closer. Clear that out, we'll paste. And subtract. This one, paste, and minus. Still a little bit off though, 4.91, it's closer. That's not too bad. As long as we're pretty close to that 0.5. So I don't think that's too terrible. So that should be the same on those. Since we put those all at the same level there. Now is this still, wait a minute, why is that still, whoopsie. Kind of goofed here. So let me get, this vert and copy that. So what I didn't do is adjust this one apparently because it's still below the track surface. So let's select that. Paste that into here. There we go. Now I want to check these two because I don't think. Copy that into our calculator. Paste that, minus. Copy that into the calculator. And equals. Yep, 4.91. So that's what we want. I think we're right where we need to be. That should be fine. Okay. So that section of the wall's good. So we'll move right along here. Yeah, so this would be the pit exit down in this end, so that's what we just did. So we've checked this out here. This shouldn't be too bad, but let's check. Gotta hate how this the zoom keeps like that, so I could resume in on this. Let's see where we're at here. See, this actually isn't too bad right here. We don't have any of it below the track surface, so that's good. But we're going to check the distance. I know this is crooked. I want to straighten that out for sure. Yep, so I'm going to get this X, and copy that to this X. Ah, son of a gun. What the heck are you doing? Don't know why I did that. Alright, so let's copy that X. Paste it to this X. That's all I'm doing is straighten that line up. Alright, let's put this on a straight on view here. That's not straight. What the heck? Alright, hold on. Okay, one vertex selected. Huh. Copy. Paste. There we go. Yeah, so let's say that didn't straighten up there. I don't know what I did. Yeah, so that should be straight. And let's do this on the back side. It should be the same issue here. In fact, let me go ahead and copy this again on the X and paste that to here. So I want that the same on this side of the wall. Yep, so just the one vert selected. Paste that. Wow, that was that much off. Holy smokes. Must have been. Okay. So that's why I wanted to copy that over. So now I should be able to take that and paste it to this vert. There we go. So that should straighten that out. So let's put that on a straight on view. Zoom in on that. So that one's nice and straight now. Now what I want to do is check our differences between the top vert and the bottom vert. Make sure we're still at our 0.5. So we'll copy this Z into our calculator and subtract this Z. Okay, so paste that and equals, yep, 499. That's actually a lot closer than the previous one, but as long as we're fairly close to that, I think we'll be alright. Okay, so this area of the wall should be good. We got the proper height on that, as well as our, as far as it being mated to the actual track geometry, the surface. So let's check this one here. This here, we'll zoom in on that. Let's go over to a side-on view. Zoom again. Yep, so it's straight. That should be good. Bottom-wise, that looks decent. Let's check the top. As far as we'll bring in our geometric wall again. So let's do on hide 4. Okay. And then, yep, so that's actually not too bad. Right about there. Actually, I didn't want to do it that way. I'll probably just go by this vert on the Z. We'll copy that and paste it over to this vert. So those are the same. Which is, okay. I had it pretty good there. So height-wise, we're good. So I can take out the geometric wall. Let's hide that. Okay, go back to our model wall. Okay, so height-wise, there's good as far as in comparison to that. Now I want to check the differences, just to make sure. Yeah, as far as in the track surface, it's kind of below it just a tad, but it's not a ton. It's pretty decent. Okay. I'm gonna double check to see if these are straight or not. So don't look. While I look at it again, it doesn't look like it is, but let me check them. So I need to check on the X. 7987. Sure aren't. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do copy this. Paste that. $874. Okay, so let me do that one more time. Doesn't seem like it moved. Paste. Alright, so I guess we're good there. I guess maybe it is. This didn't look like it was very straight, so it's... Oh, wait a minute. Son of a gun. Alright, hold on. I see what I did. I had two verts selected. You get it this way. So 94. Yeah, so this should be good. So let's check this one. 79874, that's good. I did them both at the same time, apparently. Yep, so all those are at the same. Those are straight. That's good. Now, I want to check the distance. So I want to take this C, copy that, put that in our calculator, and minus out this here on the bottom vert. Paste that. Yep, we're still pretty good there. We're within, you know, 1,000th or 100th there. It's not entirely critical. We're not like super duper off. I'm happy with that. So I think we should be good. We're going to check the very end of it now, just to make sure. But I think we're a lot better than we were. Yeah, as far as getting that lined up properly to our track geometry. Okay. Yeah, because on this end you can tell a lot better as far as how this is. Yeah. So I don't think we got any problem on this end. This is the pit exit end. Yep, so we should be good. We are good to go. It does have a little bit of crook in there, and I think we did kind of witness that. There's a little bit of a crook in here, even with the, as far as how skinny it gets on that end. It's not 100% straight. It's got a little bit of a crook in it. So, you kind of see that same. Let me look at it from the same, let's do it this way. So if we go down this way, we're looking at it the same way. Let's get out of this view. Just want to line it up the same way here. So we're looking down. Yeah, kind of the same idea here. Trying to get it lined up somewhat the same so we can see the same. Alright, so there's that end of the... So if we come up just a little bit here. Okay, so you can see there's just a little bit of a crook there. There's probably a little bit more of one in this. You know, and keeping in mind, I guess we're trying to line up based on... I don't think it looks that bad, actually. That's pretty good. So it's got a little bit of a cricklet right in this part. Keeping in mind we're trying to line up, I guess, a part of the wall that actually starts to get skinny. So trying to maintain the thickness of the wall as well as the height of the wall and following the contour of the track surface. So we got those three things kind of working against us in a way to get this wall, I guess, to look like it belongs there. Alright, so I think we're good in that regard. And I think the only part of... I'm going to bring back the geometric wall here again. And I think the only thing I'm going to keep in here, just for the sake of this scene, what are these other two objects I have? So what's this one? Object 1. What the heck is that? I don't know what that is. The only thing I want to keep in here is just the track surface and the geometric wall. So this I don't think is anything. Here, let me keep this to object 1. I don't know what that is. Alright, so we will hide that. Oh, okay. So that, I think that was another... Oh, I remember what I did. I got it. So this is the old, when I tried to segment that out last time. So yeah, I'm not going to keep any of that. So we'll delete that. Let's unhide. Yep, so object 2, that was another piece. Yeah, we're not going to keep any of that. That was from our previous attempt at trying to, that was the wrong geometry of the wall. So that this one here, this object 3, or I'm sorry, the object 4, this is our new geometric wall that we've been going by. So that's what I want to keep, as well as this track surface that we segmented out. And okay, the rest of this track geometry we can get rid of. So this I can delete. The only thing I need to keep is that. That'll work good. That'll kind of save space, I guess, as far as the scene goes, as far as just having in there what I need to have. Okay, so let's bring back our model. Cool. And we'll go ahead and save this scene over again. I'm going to save right over the one I had there because that was totally wrong anyway. Don't need it, so we'll just save over it. Yes. Okay. Now, from here, we can get to what we were trying to do in the first place. We had to backtrack there a little bit as far as to get on there. So, we had the general idea right as far as how to get the shape of the wall, as far as we created it, the height and the width, the thickness that we needed. Getting it to match, I guess, as far as the contour of the track itself, as well as how the wall with the the track spline geometry, that was the trick. That was a little bit more involved than I expected, and we kind of gone through that, I guess, to get our 3D modeled wall so that it lines up better with our track geometry now. So with all that being done, now we're at the point where we can actually texture this. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hide these two again. Should be good on that. So hide that, and just keep our 3D modeled wall. And then before I do anything, I'm going to segregate those out again like I did previously. At the very start of the stream there, I'm going to select the polys that are going to have a separate texture. So let's select that. Select all these top polys. And just kind of detach that to an object. And just for the sake of this, I'm just going to name these top wall, just so that I know. So that'll have a different texture on it. So the rest of this will have the other texture as far as the wall texture. So now from this point, I can hide this one. So let's hide that. So now all I got left is just the polys that are going to have the wall texture. So now let's go ahead and open up our thing here, and I'll just move down to this sphere. And I know I had mentioned earlier, as far as you can pick any sphere you want, as long as you change it to a standard for what we're trying to do. So you got the diffuse. Choose the bitmap, and we're going to select our texture here, and then apply it like so. And then we'll loosely apply it, but don't go by how it looks in here, because you still need to apply a unwrap modifier as far as the UV. Okay. Yeah, so you can really see the wonkiness that we have as far as that crown that exists in the elevation right in that area. Okay. So yeah, now we need to get a unwrap modifier to this. So now we want it to be, we need it to be at the beginning of the stream. So we had some adjustments to make to the object, and that's not to be unexpected. The fact that I was going by the idea that this was going to be 100% flat, and it wasn't. So the fact that we had to adjust, you can see that right here as far as how it's got a little bit of a crown in the elevation there. We could probably fix that in Sandbox if we really wanted to, but I think we'll just leave it. And the more I ponder it, I'll just go ahead and leave it. So this will match as far as what's in the geometry anyway, when we put it in there. So let's go ahead and apply our unwrap modifier like so, and open up this, make sure the texture's in there. I'll kind of widen this up here a little bit. And one thing I didn't do, and I'll go ahead and do that now, is I'm going to go into preferences here, and I'm going to change this as far as the size of our texture here. So it should be a 512 by 128, and I'm going to double check that just to make sure. 512 by 128, yes. You can't necessarily see that in there, but that's the size of our texture, so I want to adjust that in here. So let's do 512 by 128. Okay, so we got that size in there. We don't need to tile it necessarily because we got this here. Although, and again, this is kind of reiterating what I said, because the texture will need to repeat horizontally, that mapping that you're going to apply to the texture as far as when we get the model, the 3DO, I guess, into the track, it's going to have that mapping of 2 so that it tiles horizontally. And that's just so that it, and once I bring in the face here, the fact that it goes over this area that's on here, when you have that map of 2, it's basically saying, okay, this thing repeats on the horizontal, so this way. So you can visually, if you want to, I don't really find it necessary, but for myself, but you might find it necessary to want to tile this like this so you can kind of see what's going on with the texture. But the fact that it's basically just tiling the same texture, but it does give you somewhat of an idea of how far you want to tile, you know, your actual poly. But the way, again, with it being such a simple model, you know, not that complex, the only thing we've had to adjust is just in the one direction. We haven't had to apply a normal map or the flat map. Jeez, Lost my train of thought there. Okay, so let's do poly. Let's see, do I still have that on the F2? I think I do. Changed my scene. Hold on a second. There we go. What the heck? Why isn't it selecting it? Poly. Hello? I'm in poly mode. Alright. What am I missing here? Okay, something didn't, I might have to reset this. Something's not working right. It's not letting me select the polys. It might have to do with memory on it, so I might have to reset this. I've already got it saved, so that's good. I'll just have to reapply the... So let's go ahead and reset this all. Yeah, so something went wonky there. I think I might have just ran out of memory, possibly. In fact, let me go ahead and close this out for now. So what I'll have to remember is this one here that I created here, that's a throwaway. That one was for applying the textures to our W section on that pit wall so we could do the DAE. What I need to go by is this one right here. So I'm still going to keep that, but this is the one we need to go by as far as moving forward to put it into our track and get it tested. So, in fact, what I'll go ahead and do is, for the sake of this, cut all these out and put those into our backup PTFs like that. And a lot of these are going to be the same, which is fine. Okay. And if I go down here, I'm going to sort this by date. And it's going to have that remove pit exit wall B, which I don't want to go by. I want to go by this one here. Yes, I'm going to go by this one right here. My pit jig one should be in here too. I want to put that one back in there. Yes, so I'll copy those back in. Get this all squared away first. So as far as moving forward, this is the PTF I wanted to go by. This has everything that I need as far as the wall dimensions and whatever, as far as the placement and so on. This pit jig one is another throwaway. That's basically applying the pit cells. We're going to need that one as far as once we get this 3D model wall put in there, we'll be able to put that pit jig onto that 3D model wall so that we can get our coordinates for those. That's the whole the whole reason we're trying to get that 3D model wall put in there, so we can get those locations of those pit stalls in that area. That's our main objective for that. So okay, so we got that all squared away. So now what I'm going to do here is reopen that scene. Now that I got that saved, navigate to that. Charlotte and pit wall model. There we go. So the only thing we should have to reapply to this one here is the texture and the unwrap. That's all we should have to do. Everything else should be good. So I want to hide these two. Whoops. Why is it not? Hide. Oh, I don't want to hide it all, you dummy. Whoopsie. So I'm going to bring at least this back. There we go. Alright, so now I'll go back into our material editor. Go back to this process. Switch this over to standard. Okay, and then go to our diffuse. Bitmap, put our wall texture on that. And one of the things I didn't do which is not a big deal. I can still do that. I didn't segregate the top of the wall, I guess, from that, but I'll do that right now. Still got this as an editable poly. Okay, so we want to get this like so, and I want to go to poly, and I want to separate all these top polys from this. That's going to have a different texture. And just as I explained earlier, as far as using a multi-sub object type of deal there, it's a little bit easier as far as what we're trying to build this for, and probably much the same as, you know, for texture mapping anyway. It's better to just segregate your, you know, your model as a whole, as far as if they've got different textures on it, to separate and detach it as a separate object, as I'm doing here. It'll make more sense doing it that way than as a multi-sub object, because you can sometimes forget that you have that multi-sub object, and the fact that making a you know, an object for NASCAR Racing 2003 anyway, if you have that multi-sub object, the textures don't necessarily get applied properly if you use it that way. So alright, so we got that segregated out, and I'm going to go ahead and hide that top wall. So we'll hide that. Now all I got left is just the the polys that I want to put the wall texture to. Alright, so go ahead and apply our unwrap modifier this time around. Like so. And then open up the Edit UV editor. We should be able to apply the texture. Alright, so we're kind of repeating a lot of this stuff. We're having to go backwards. So yeah, so now we got our wireframe in here. You can see that that's what wasn't happening when I applied that initially. So now that we have that in there, that's good. So now I'm going to go into Preferences, and I'm going to adjust the size of this, because our texture is a 512 by 128. Power is a 2. I do necessarily apologize, I guess, for all the backtracking and having to redo things over again, but sometimes these things happen. Alright, so that's all good there. Yeah, so this is what was not showing when I applied the unwrap modifier initially last time around, so I think it was just a matter of just refreshing. I think I was running out of memory there a little bit, I guess, as far as so I closed Sandbox, reset this. I already saved the scene, so that was a good thing. Alright, so now at this point we should be able to select our polys. That's better. Yes, this is what I wasn't able to get it to do. So now if we go in here, we should see that selected. So I'm just gonna filter the polys that I got selected, so that it takes the rest of them out. Okay. Now, I was showing a little bit earlier too, and I'll kind of go over that real briefly here again. Sometimes it may find it necessary to do a flat map, which I'm not satisfied with that, so I'll do a Control Z, or a normal map. Okay. Either one of those is not really, you could probably go with this, but the way it was showing, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that it's populating in, I guess, in this fashion, and we can see what's happening with the texture literally here. Let's zoom in on that. Let me do my F2 really quick. It's going to change my scene, I know that, but there we go. So as you can see on here, how the texture is applying, we got the orientation of it is perfect, so we don't need to change that. So the way we've applied the unwrap modifier, as far as how it's putting it on the poly right there, we don't need to do a flatten or a normal map in this case. And the fact that it is a simple model, it's not very complex. The only thing we're finding necessary to adjust is just the height of this. So we want to get it to fill all of this up with this texture, not just halfway through. because that's not scaled properly. So I'm going to zoom in on this. I already went through a lot of this already, but we had some issues, so we're, again, apologize for the backtracking. So what I'm going to do here is shift drag this up. This way you can see how that's adjusting on the actual model in here. So the fact that now I've got the poly filling all of this area of the texture and not just halfway through. The orientation is right, so it's got the dirt. As far as the orientation of the dirt is on the bottom here. That's what we want. I know it's kind of hard to see, I guess, with the green. You can kind of see it here. So the orientation of the texture on the poly, as far as it being flipped the wrong way, it doesn't exist. So, yeah. So the rest of this, as far as the way it's scaled, and this will kind of fall in place with that vertical scale, vertical tiling, I should say, of the texture. We'll just leave that just like it is. Don't need to adjust anything else. Okay. So that poly is mapped. So now we'll move on to the next poly, and this is where we ran into a problem last time. So let me go back to F2, F4. Okay. Yeah, so the fact that I've got the one scene tied to my F2. The F2 is what will turn on and off. It toggles on and off your highlighted poly. So I just want to turn that back on. I can see what polys that I'm selecting here. So if I go back into here and go to this, so now this is, again, this is what we were finding the problem as far as the trajectory of this, and this might be a little bit off still. We've already checked it all, so it shouldn't be, but it is showing that same type of thing again, where it's narrower. It's not quite as tall on this end. That's kind of weird. Not sure why it's doing that. Yeah, it's still kind of doing that. See, it's kind of skinnier on this end. Yeah, we already checked all the height of that, so that should not be an issue, but apparently, put this on a side-on view. Yeah, that shouldn't be, but and that might be just that little bit that we were off. We weren't like 100% at 5, but that seems like a lot. What I might do, for the sake of this, two things. One thing being is I want to get this over to the texture. I don't intend to put any ambient occlusion on it as far as any shading. So that's one thing. But the other thing is I want to get this over to the start here so that they're all starting at the same point instead of leaving it here. I could necessarily leave it here because of the way the texture is tiled. The texture being applied to it is tiled. But I want to bring this over this way. And then what I'll probably end up doing, for the sake of this, zoom in on this here. We'll get this lined up. Again, I have not applied either normal or a flat map, and I don't feel it's going to be necessary. A lot of this might be because of how it's tied. Because considering all these polys, as far as you go down, they're attached. So I did adjust on this end of this poly up, but I did not adjust this end as of yet. So that's probably why I'm seeing that trajectory like I am at this point. The wall itself is fine as far as the height. We already went through all that as far as how that needs to go. But what I think what we're experiencing here is when I adjusted this poly, I adjusted that to the proper height, so it is only that same height on this end of the poly, which is this end. On this end, it hasn't been adjusted yet, so that's why it's showing this trajectory. So what I'll have to do, I don't know if that's possible. I'm trying to think of a good way to do this without. So we're going to have several verts in here. So if I go into vertex mode, I might be able to do this. Let's see. So if I select that vert and this vert, see, one of the things I could do is just kind of scale that down, and what I could do is scale it down so that's all the way here. That might not be too much of a problem. Or I could just do like this and see if I can straighten this out by using the vertical snaps, the horizontal snap. Yeah, so that might work that way. Yeah. That should do it. So that should get us the same here. Now when I adjust these two verts, I'm going to adjust them this way. I should be able to uniformly move these up. Oops. Got the wrong one there. So I'm going to move these up uniformly all the way down. So I got these two verts still selected. Do like that. So again, I don't really want to, because of the size of the poly, as far as how far the poly goes, I don't want to change the length of this, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If I shrink this up there, it's going to descale it. As far as the texturing, it's going to get compressed to where it's not going to be, it's not going to present itself properly on those polys. And that's what I don't want to do. Okay, so go back to poly mode. Zoom in on this. So if I was to, and I've shown this, we've kind of shown this before, if I was to shrink this down, right? So if I was to take this and scale it down, you know, to like half the size or whatever like that, the way the texture gets actually applied to those polys is going to change. So I don't want to do that. Something happened here though, that's not good. What the heck? I kind of stretched this out, that's not. Why did it do that?
Yeah.
Big Claddy, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Rock Nation. How we doing today? We're already going into 3 hours in the stream. I had to backtrack here a little bit, so I'm just noticing on this poly. Yeah, let me render this. I don't know why that's stretching that out now. Maybe I might have to adjust these now that I look at this. Let me render this real quick. Let's go render setup. And let's set this on 800 by 600. And let's render that. See, now it is kind of stretching that. That's interesting. Interesting. So now that I have adjusted, so this is probably a good point to make up here. So like if you're seeing that type of thing happen, you saw how the texture got applied to this initial poly here. The fact that I'm now adjusting this one, these are all essentially still attached to each other, right? So as I'm adjusting each of these polys, it's necessarily adjusting, I don't know what the hell just happened there. Yeah, it's necessarily adjusting. So let me see how this is applied right here. So I might have to do like a normal map. That may be required. Let's see here. So this one is actually correct, but this one's messed up now. So let me go back to this one. Yeah, something screwed up here. What the heck? See what happened to this poly? So what I might have to do here now is I might have to do a normal map. Alright, so let's do this. That is interesting. So the fact that it shouldn't have done that, but the fact that it did, we're going to fix this here. So let's see how that texture is initially applying. Holy smokes, man. Wow, that really screwed that one up. I don't know why though. Oh. Wow. Alright, let me turn the filter off. Yeah, that shouldn't have done that. I don't know why it did though. That really should not have done that. Alright, so what I'm going to do... Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't know why this is making it harder for me. So let's... I'm going to turn the grid snaps on. It really shouldn't have done this, and I'm not sure why it did. Grid snap that. And these two here, I'm just going to go ahead and... Yeah, there's no other verts in there that I know of. Let's vertical snap that. Okay. Now let's filter that out. Do a vertical snap on this. Yeah, that's just kind of interesting as far as how it's... Okay. Let me see if I can scale this back. Scale this back out. And... this is really making me happy. I don't know why it's doing that. That should not have done that. Why is that doing that? Huh. Wow. Okay. I'm really not sure why it's doing that. I've never had that happen like that before. I'm thinking what happened was when I moved this poly here, as far as the edit UV, when I moved that it kind of stretched that connection that it has right here, if that makes sense. So like I was saying, all these polys are essentially connected. When I move that in the edit UV window here, when I slid this poly over to that, it kind of screwed this one up. And it should not have done that. It really shouldn't have. What I might do, what might make a little more sense, if I select all those polys all at once and just texture it that way instead of doing each poly individually. That's probably a good pro tip as far as like that. If you've got you know, poly like this, and you're already considering the fact that the texture is going to be tiled vertically, what I could essentially have done instead of the way I did it is just selected all these faces here and then just map that all at once. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. So I'm going to remove this edit modifier, just delete it, and I can start over. That actually makes sense, more sense now than the way I've gone about it so far. So okay, let me go ahead and remove this unwrap modifier. Okay. So now what I can do is I can apply that again. I still got the texture on it. We're still good there. All I need to do is just reapply the unwrap. So I don't want to use that one at all. I'm not going to try and fix that mess that was in there. You could probably do that if you're so inclined to do so. I'm not going to. That's just too much hassle. So what I'll do at this point, I've got a brand new unwrap modifier in this. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply texture. Okay. And leave the polys just like it is, like this. And I'm going to select all those faces on this side all at once instead of doing them one at a time. Okay. This is probably the best or better approach. The way I was going about it, I was kind of considering if I wanted to scale each one independently, but the way this wall is, and we want that texture to be uniformly, you know, it's all one texture, nothing's changing, you know, and it's tiled vertically and all that stuff. You could probably get away with just doing it this way. as far as the way I'm going to do it right now. So I'm selecting all those faces all together. And if I go into here, now they're all selected this way. The only thing I need to adjust now is just that height. The orientation and everything is good. So I can just leave that stretched out like that. So let's go ahead and do that. So now all I need to do is just adjust the height this way. So I'm going to take this and just shift drag this up this way. Like so. Yeah. So let me filter out the ones I don't have. It's going to have all the other ones in there, so you can see that green line that was there. That's the other polys that aren't selected, you know, as far as the ones we selected. So I just filtered those out. So now it's only got the ones in here that I have selected in the main view there. So let's zoom in on this. Let's kind of tweak this out. Alright. So that's pretty good. So that'll be uniform all the way across this now. So it'll be, yeah, that makes more sense. I should have really went that direction in the first place. Like I said, I was keeping in mind if we wanted to apply any independent texture to any section of these polys, that's the approach I was taking to it when mapping it. And that's not 100% wrong the way I was doing it. It's just the way it was presenting that texture, repeating vertically like that, or horizontally I should say, wouldn't have been sufficient. So now if we look at this here, select this poly, zoom in on that, kind of focus on this a little better. You can see, alright, let's deselect that. Now if I render this now, let me see if I can get this here. So if I render this, yeah, it's kind of hard to see in that one. Let's get it zoomed in a little bit more. Not quite that much. I know I have not figured out a way, I guess, to get the smoothing as far as the zoom on the, I know there's a better way, I guess, to get it to be a little bit more, less wonky, I guess, as far as, alright, so now let's try and render this. There we go. So you can kind of see it's got the dirt on the bottom here like this, and it's scaled properly. That's actually didn't turn out too bad. And that should be the same uniformly all the way down this wall here. So let me get this section of the wall further down. You can kind of see that, how it's textured. I know the green lines for the unwrap modifier kind of muddles that a little bit, but you can see how that texture is applied on here. Nice and uniform. It's not misscaled, misskewed, or anything like that. And that's what we want. So let's get this end of the wall here. So if we zoom in, whoops, that's zooming on that. So let's go zoom here. Now again, with this one here, all I'm going to do is just adjust the height of this. I'm not going to change the length of it. So I'm going to leave that right there. So again, we're not having to do a flat in our normal map. The orientation of it is already good. So all I'm going to do is just adjust it this way. Like so. Okay. And I can zoom in here a little bit more just to kind of get it a little bit more precise. And if I turn off the filter, you can kind of see how the other one, I got that lined up too. So if I really want to get super duper picky to get those all lined up perfectly, I could do a grid snap, get those on there. I'm not going to worry about that too much right now, but you can see how much it's not 100% lined up. So I put the poly back on, or yeah, let me select this in here. There. So this is the one. So the other green line, that represents the previous polys that I lined up there. and it's not lined up with it, so they're not all 100% lined up there, and that's probably will show. I can tweak on that later. I'm not going to worry about it right now. But we should have this textured. So if I render this, there we go. So we got that wall rendered. That poly is mapped. You can see how that dirt on the bottom there is lined up very nicely. Okay, so now we want to get the back side of the wall. We'll do that much the same way. Oh my goodness. I hate when it does this. Why you doing me like that? Yeah, this is a pretty big segment of wall, to be honest. Alright, so I think this was the one. Okay, so let me check that again. Yep. So that's the one we did there. So now I want to get the back side of the wall, which is this way. So zoom out on this. Okay, so we can get all those faces. So we'll do like this. Select all these faces, and we'll do it the same way as we did the other side of the wall. Like so. And we go into our edit UVW, we're going to filter that out. And again, we'll just shift drag this up. Just adjust the height of that. So the orientation of it, as far as the dirt's on the bottom of the poly and all that stuff, that's all good to go. We don't need to mess with that. Alright, zoom in a little more. So, yeah, like I said, if I turn off the filter this, you can see how these don't all 100% line up. And I could get really, really super duper picky and just select those all till they're all at the same height. And I guess while I'm in here, I can go ahead and do that. Because to include... this one's not even all the way over that way, so let's go ahead and I'll put the grid snaps on. Let's go to vertex mode, and I'm going to use this deal. Nope, my bad. This deal right here, this freeform mode, and wait a minute. What is going on there now? That should give me... Alright, hold on here. We'll get this figured out. So what I'm trying to do is get these verts basically grid snapped to there. That's all I'm trying to do. Why is it not giving me... Huh. It's not giving me that precise. Anyway, should be able to do it that way. See how that snaps in there? That's what the grid snaps. So I'll grid snap all those like so. Alright, and then I can do that on this other end. So even on the bottom here, let's check that out. Zoom out on here. We got this zoomed in there pretty good, actually. Yeah, let's go all the way out here. Wow, yeah, these are pretty stretched out here. So yeah, those are all those segments here. Trying to figure out though why it wasn't giving me the wow. Yeah, this is a pretty big section. I'll zoom out on this here, see if we can get there we go. Here we go. Yeah, so this is where it comes in handy, I guess, too, I guess as far as tiling it. So if I turn on the tiles, get it to tile out here, you can kind of see where that's landing here. So if I go to options, preferences, and let's tile this, and then how many tiles do we need? Probably quite a few. Didn't think it would be that many. Let's see what we got here. So what that should be doing... Yeah, see, it's not even coming out this far. Bummer. Okay. Well, we'll have to keep it that way. Because I'm assuming... That's why I was trying to get that other cursor to a select there. This is not going to be 100% aligned on this end. I don't think I can apply grid snap to this. I can try, but I don't think it'll work. Let me see here. So if I go to vertex mode, oh, maybe it will. Yeah. So what that grid snap basically does, it'll snap all those in there so all your verts line up. So you have to kind of pretend, in this case, that that texture is right there. So that top corner, let me zoom back over here. The fact that it's not tiling out here. This is a pretty long segment. Yeah, so the fact that if you picture, you can kind of see it here, see how those, if you picture the vert was right there and the texture was out there, was tiled out that way, that'd be all snapped in the same position. That's basically how that works. So let me go ahead and just change this tile back down so you can see how that tiles. I could have kept going. I would have probably, it would have eventually made it out there, but kind of get the idea though. Alright. So all that should be snapped. All those verts are in the same location now. They're all lined up. So that should look better now on this end. So now if we go into here, go into poly mode, select this, zoom in on it, get focused, and then if we render this, you can kind of already see in this viewport as far as how that is there. Looks pretty darn good. So we'll render this. So now you can see that that side of the wall is now mapped. Okay. So the only thing we got left is the other end of the wall here. So we'll focus on this poly just to get over there, and we'll get this end of the wall. Okay. So now we'll select this poly and get this end, and then the only thing we'll have left is the top. Okay. So with that one selected, we're going to filter out. I took those all the way down. Oh, okay. Oh, let's just turn the tiling off altogether. There we go. That'll work. So now we got this poly selected. So I have not filtered out the other poly, so I can pretty much line that up with the other end that I did there. Okay, so if I go into this one and just shift drag this up, and I can get that close. Now what I can do, by not filtering out those verts, I can go into vertex mode. Got the grid snap still on. If I select this here, that's okay, that's the cursor that I was looking for right there. Not sure why it wasn't doing that before, but in that freeform mode you should get this precise movement here. You should have all these little box thing. That's what I should have got. I'm not sure why I wasn't getting that, but it did still let me grid snap it. This here, so now I can snap these all like this. And if I go to this end, I can get that lined up so that that lines up the same way. Yeah, see, this is not snapped here. See how that is? So I can probably snap that right there. And then snap that right there. And then if I check it vertically, that still actually looks pretty good. But I can do it this way as well. And to do that vertically just to make sure. Yep, that's fine. So it's straight this way, snap there, so that's perfectly lined up the same as the other end. That's basically what I did there. See on this down here, I can see these aren't 100% grid snap, so let me do that down here as well. Yep, let me grid snap these. Okay, that should be good there. That's good there. Now I'll have to go all the way down to the other end and do the same thing. Yep. Zoom this out here. Go all the way down here and do the same thing. And again, I'll have to picture that texture is there. You can see that blue line right there. That's what we want to be lined up to. So just like that. And I can do the same thing. Oh my goodness. What the heck? Oh. Must have clicked. Getting a little click happy, I guess, in my middle mouse. Kind of wonked me out there. So yeah, I can do the same thing here. I can do a vertical line here. Just to make sure that it's all nice and straight. So that's good. Probably another thing I would have to do, and this is so long. Yeah, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But the other thing, it's probably not aligned 100%. So if I zoom in on this, you can kind of see how much it's off this way, as far as they're not 100% aligned. So if I was to, let's see if I can do this really quick. This is a pretty long, holy smokes. Alright, let's see. So still in vert mode. What I would have to do, this can get a little bit tedious here. So if I grab all these verts all the way down here. This is such a long thing. Yeah, I can already see on that bottom one, it's definitely not 100% lined up. Alright, so what I have to do is I have to grab all these verts, like so. Okay. And what I'm going to do is do a horizontal line. Is what I'm going to do. Normally what you'd want to do is you want to select each vert independently. That's the general approach to this. See, this is so freaking long. I'm not sure why it turned blue here. That's interesting. Okay. So now what I should be able to do, let's see if I can do a horizontal line on that. And then do the same thing on the bottom. Verts. That might not work 100% like I said, because like I said, what you should do, you'd have to select these independently. Yeah, see the fact that I'm selecting these both at the same time. Yeah, that's probably not going to work. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to change the size of that. That's what's bugging me. And I really could have probably just rescaled it just for the time being, but I'm getting lazy, I suppose. But generally the way you want to do that, just to kind of, and I've shown that before too, you want to select each vert independently and you want to do that vertical or horizontal line. So that's what I was trying to do. Because I know these aren't, I can tell just by scrolling down this, that there's areas of this that aren't aligned 100%. But in order to do it really more efficiently, I would have to scale those polys down and then back out again. And I don't want to do that because I'm not going to be able to get the same scaling for the texture. So I'm just going to leave it like that for now. I might mess with that later. But what that does is it'll align all the verts so that they're all lined up just like I did the ends there. So that it's a one-to-one representation, you know, as far as the texture goes onto that poly. Okay. So now the only thing we got left is the top. Man, this is such a huge section. Alright, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead. No, I'm going to keep the map on it. Yeah, for now. So let's do hide this, and I want to unhide the top. Okay. Now we'll map this, the wall top, and we'll do this the same as we did the wall sides. Select all the polys at once. So this one we want to put a different texture on though. So we want to go to this, set this to standard. Okay. And then go into the diffuse bitmap, and then navigate to, what the heck? What did that just do? I don't know what that did. I don't know, but it didn't do what I wanted it to. Oh, it did smoke for some reason. Whoopsie. So go bitmap, and then our wall top. Okay, and then we want to apply that to it, like so. So that should be applied to that now. And now I need to apply an unwrap modifier to that one as well. 2 individual pieces. Even though it's relatively all part of the same wall. Alright, so open UV editor. We're going to make sure texture is here. And stretch this open here. So much the same way as this one here, I got to check our wall top dimensions here, which should be this one is 512 by 128. Alright, so we're going to adjust that. Yep, so you can see our wires in there. This one we might have to do a normal map or something. We'll have to see how that goes. Let's adjust our preferences. Change this to 512 by 128. Okay. Alright, so we got that. Don't need to tile it or anything, that's fine. Now, go into here, we're going to select poly. I've already got those all selected. Okay, so those are all selected. So if we go in here, that should show in here like so. Now, I might try and do a normal map on this one just to see. Basically, oh no, definitely don't want that. That's not good to me. Alright, so Control Z. What I might need to do on this case is just rotate that 90 to the right in this case. I think, and that's all I would need to do here. So let's do rotate 90 degrees. And then I can bring that down here. That should be. Now, it might be a little bit tougher to determine. So I'll have to look at the model itself here as far as what orientation this has here. So I'm going to shift drag this down here. Yeah, so in order to know that I got the proper orientation, you know, like this is, you know, this edge of the poly is where it needs to be and so on. Let me look at this, look at it this way here. Alright, so let's deselect that. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Focus. Alright. So what I'm pertaining to is like, okay, is this edge here, as far as on this edge, is that where it needs to be on this? You know, so is this edge going to be this edge? And what I might be able to somewhat be able to tell is how some of the patterns are in this area. So I got a couple lines right here in the texture. I should be able to see those in here. Might be better for me to render it. Let's see here. go ahead and render it. Yeah, so I'm seeing like a dark line right here. We should be able to see that in our mapping here. What I might do, for the sake of this, just so that I can tell I got the orientation correct, I'm going to create a new texture. As far as with like a 1 and a 2, so I can tell which side is what. So what I can do, I've done this before, it's kind of a trade secret, I guess you could say, kind of a little shortcut. So what I'm going to do, open this up here, and just briefly here, I'm going to adjust this texture. I can apply another one, but I'll just go ahead and adjust this one. What I want to do is put just some numbers in this, so I can tell the orientation. So I want to apply this, something contrasting. Alright, so let's do a 1. And let's change the size of it. That's pretty good. So what I want to do is put this on one end of the texture, like that, and then put a 2. This is going to help me orient the texture on the polys, is what it's going to do. Okay. Now I'll do layers, merge flat, and save that. And I can always revert that texture back. Alright, so file, save as. Yes, and then what that should do, that should translate onto our max model here. I'll have to update it here. Update map, so that's showing there, and that should show up on here. So now that gives me an idea of which side is which. So actually it's flipped, is what's going on here. So what I can do from this point, I want the 1 to be here and the 2 to be here, because the 2 is on the bottom. See? So we put the 2 on the bottom, so in order to have that a 1-to-1 representation, I want the 2 on this side and the 1 on this side. So I need to flip that here. So let's go into poly mode. Actually, I'll do it this way. Alright, it's doing that to me again. Why are you doing this? Poly. There you go. And I want to make sure... Oops, I got out of that viewer. I want to select all these polys. Okay. I want to make sure they're all selected. Let's zoom out on this. Select all those polys. And I'll flip these so that... And see if I can get this into view here. Let's go, first of all, I want to flip it this way. Alright. So that's almost right. Now we need to flip it the other way. Because now that 2 is backwards. So we got that 2 where we want it, but it needs to be flipped the other way now. So we'll go ahead and select all those polys again. And flip it this way, as far as vertically. So now that should be, there we go. Now we got it oriented correctly. We got the 2 here and it's facing the right direction, as well as the 1 on that end. So now that texture is properly oriented. See, now what I can do is I can revert this, remove this layer, just delete that, and then I can save this over again. Save back over that, and that should reapply that. So now it's gone. So that's one way of being able to tell when you got a texture that's, you know, not really definitive as far as a pattern on it and whatnot. One way you can do that is just apply something contrasting so you can tell the orientation of it. This has been done using such textures as like checker patterns or things like that, but something to distinguish as far as, you know, just to get the orientation of the texture properly applied to the poly. So now that we got that done, so that poly's, that side of the wall is done. Now we can bring back this here. Our entire wall is now mapped. So now from this point, I'm going to go ahead and save this scene. So we have this progress saved. Okay. So now we got that all saved. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and probably collapse. I don't need this anymore either. Let's close that out. Okay. And we're getting some stuff done, that's for sure. But I'm closing in on where I need to end. I don't know if I'm going to get to getting it into the track, you know, as far as get the model created, whatever. I think I'll save that for next week, to be honest. But that does give you somewhat of an idea of some, and we'll probably have to deal with this again, and some of the other objects that we have to create, because we're dealing not only with, you know, creating a properly molded object, you know, as far as to get the dimensions of it correct, we're also following contours of the actual track itself as far as the elevations that exist in it. So that's another factor that we've never necessarily had to deal with as far as creating a lot of 3D models at this point. So we had to backtrack a little bit to the fact that we were able to do it nice and quick, as far as to make it, you know, just a straight line, it's flat, straight, whatever. That wasn't the case. So that's what we've had to deal with a lot here. So we dealt with all that. We've got it pretty much where we need it to be at this point. We got everything mapped, so that's a plus. What I will do necessarily is just save a lot of this process for next week, as far as getting the model buttoned up. We'll get into the other version of Max, get the pass export, so on and so forth. We'll get the model created, get it applied into the track, and so on. I'm going to save that for next week, because this was a lot of information to go over, and I'm going to kind of just let that sink and soak in, I guess, a little bit. At this point, I got the model is saved, so we'll be able to move on next week, I guess, as far as getting this in there. This is all complete. All I would necessarily need to do at this point, and I'll just kind of show this a little bit, and I'll go over this again next week, is to basically collapse all these items together by selecting this, and then this going a collapse selected. Okay, so that becomes now one object, all entirely mapped. And then from that point, we can save a 3DS, export out a 3DS to put that in our 3ds Max 5, in my case, or whatever, to do the pass export. We don't need to script it or anything like that, because there's no state switches or weekend switches or anything like that. It's just a solid object that we want to stay, you know, because we're considering this wall as geometry. So we don't want it to be turned off or anything like that, or only be shown. I guess we want it to be shown all the time. We don't want it any particular ray session, so on and so forth. So there's no scripting that needs to be done. We just need the pass export to make it a solid physical object. So, and when I say solid physical, I'm not talking about the collidable property. I'm talking about just something that's visual physical. So that's what I'll say for next week. So I've just kind of showed just briefly what would need to be done to move forward as far as to get it all collapsed. I would then have to export that out as a 3DS to get it into 3ds Max 5 in my case. Anything, and I mentioned this before as well, anything prior to Max 7 can't necessarily be used for the pass exporter. There have been some cases where it does work in Max 2008, maybe 2009, but Max 7 for sure, it does work. The pass exporter works pretty decent. So hopefully it wasn't too overwhelming as far as the information gone over here to get it to this point. This is a rather, even though it's a simple object, there was a lot going on with it. And I know I sound like a broken record, but there was a lot going on with it as far as to get this to line up where we needed to. We had to deal with the the taffy effect as far as on the geometric wall that was being applied there, and keeping our 3D model wall that we have here, you know, where we need it to be. We don't want that taffiness on the end of it. We want to keep it the same thickness. We got the contour. So this is lots of things going on with this 3D modeled wall. It wasn't as simple as I was initially thinking. So, but again, we've dealt with all that, and we're definitely going in the right direction to make progress to get this actually in there and get it applied so we can get those pit stalls laid down, I guess, in our track INI. So hopefully you see any of those lurking in the chat there, I guess, next time. We'll continue this process of getting this made, and we'll move on from there, and we'll get that much closer, I guess, to getting it ready to run our scratch build track, I guess, in full race mode. So we'll be working on such things once we get those pit stalls applied in this region that we're creating this 3D model wall for. We'll be able to get those pit stalls applied and then create those the starting grid. That's a pretty simple process once you get those pit stalls applied, and I kind of mentioned that briefly in the last couple of episodes, but we need to get those applied first before we can actually do that, to make to kind of make that a more of an expedient process there. So again, hope to see everybody again. If you haven't hit that follow button, make sure you do that, and make sure that you're tuning in next week when we continue our process for this. Also feel free to follow on the Twitter to get information as far as what's going on in the channel, as far as what's going on off stream, as well as feel free to check out the Discord. I have a lot of information that I usually post on there, and I kind of just posted it there again. Thank you, bot. Yeah, there's plenty of information to get posted there, as well as our Spline Design Studios Facebook group page. There are informations that do get posted there every once in a while, as far as, again, things going on off stream, and that do necessarily apply to the streams in general, as far as like some of it's summary, some of it's what's to come, you know, as far as highlights of what's to come. So feel free to check those out there, and that link there for the Facebook group page is also on the Spline Design Studios website itself. Just hit the little Facebook icon button there to get that, and yeah. So again, thank you all for stopping by. That did necessarily lurk in the chat there, and see what I had going on here for Spline Design Studios Saturday, and I hope to see you again very, very soon. But for now, we'll see you later.
Nothing is waterproof. Our dreams, hopes, and free will.
It's written in
find the truth. Even the stars are already set to